Good evening and Assalamu alaikum, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the first ever virtual CA Students Conference. Now, just to give a little background, this event is organized every year by the CA Students Association under the guidance of the regional committees. But this year, we were kind of not sure whether to go along with it or not in the wake of the pandemic. So we had two choices. We could either postpone the event altogether, or we could make the most of the situation and adapt to the new normal. So you can see which options you went with. By the way, I am Ridai Zahra and I'll be your host for the day. Now, in the wake of the current situation, that is why we chose this theme, Rising from the Ashes, because we realized that even though right now the students may feel demotivated or confused about their next step, the thing is, this is exactly what we need to overcome, that any failure is an opportunity to move forward. So this is your chance to pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and remain focused towards your goal. So without further ado, I'd like to formally commence with the recitation of the Holy Quran, and I'd like to invite Mr. Habibur Rahman to do just that.
Thank you. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد صدق الله العظيم.
Now it's time to formally commence with the welcome address. And for that, I'd like to welcome the one, the only. Please welcome the President of ICAP, Mr. Khalilullah Sheikh.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Thank you, Rida. Assalamu alaikum and very good evening, afternoon, wherever you are, to all of you. A very warm welcome from the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Pakistan. I'm extremely delighted to speak to all of you, young chartered accountants in the making, the future of this profession. And whenever I speak to youngsters like you, I feel younger than before. Let me say at the outset that all of you are awesome because you have chosen an amazing profession in extremely interesting times. Why do I say so is that people feel just that our profession is famous for the rigor of our training, for the difficulty of examinations and low pass percentages. But let me tell you that this is also a profession which is extremely well regarded, which offers very rewarding and interesting career choices as well. It's a profession that is very well connected as well. It's a fraternity which is very well connected locally, regionally, and globally. Regionally through your South Asian Federation of Accountants like SAFA, CAPA, and other regional bodies, and globally through your CA Worldwide and IFAC. Right? There are very few professions that are so closely connected and very well knit as the fraternity of accountants is. It is also a profession that drives public interest in various roles. Sooner than later, all of you, inshallah, will become qualified chartered accountants, will become member of your professional bodies. And you will be in different interesting career paths. If you choose to join industry, become finance manager and later CFOs, you will be enabling and creating value for your organizations. You will be driving sustainable growth of your organizations, responsible business enterprises, and responsible, better businesses, in fact, means better society. If you choose to stay in the profession as an assurance professional, you will be certifying financial statements, lending them credibility. You will be helping capital markets. You will be helping regulators. You will be helping investors significantly. Again, a great public interest role. If you choose, for example, to become a tax practitioner, you will be helping fellow citizens discharge their national obligation. You will be helping document the economy. You will be helping enhance the tax base of your country, right? So in whatever role you will be driving great public interest and pursuing an amazing career path simultaneously. A lot of youngsters, young people ask me about, and they share their anxiety of how the technology is disrupting this profession. Let me tell you with experience. I mean, I've been as a member of IFAC Professional Accountants and Business Committee for quite some time. And we have been discussing it at that level globally of how the finance function is going to look like in coming years. For 2 years, we kept discussing it, inviting great business and finance leaders from across the globe, discussing trends with them, talking to technology professionals. And with all that experience, I can tell you that yes, this technology is bringing in a lot of disruption, but there is nothing to worry for professional accountants like us. It will automate, like the technologies like AI, robotics, cognitive computing, right? Blockchain. They will, of course, some skill set will become redundant. Some roles will become redundant, the mundane, the routine, data entry type of roles. But there will be a lot more exciting roles that are coming up. And for professionals like us, these technologies are going to supplement, augment, and complement our roles. They are going to enrich and empower us in a way that was never before. Rather, you are going to be more effective finance and business leaders through these technologies, helping your organizations manage uncertainty better, helping your organization take better quality decisions and navigate the crisis better than before. So there's nothing for you to worry, and what you need to do is to just keep an eye on these trends and continue to work on your skill set and adapt to these technologies ever than before to stay ahead of the curve. Now with this, there are a few thoughts. I know you have got a lineup of great speakers, so I'll not take much time, but there are a few words of advices which I would love to share with you and I'll leave you with. One is that is hard work, consistent hard work. I always say to this, to my students and to youngsters that remember, consistent hard work is bound to be crowned with success. Never be complacent. This hard work is extremely important throughout your career. Second is be resilient. This resilience is an extremely important trait, which is going to be much more important in times to come. When you will be professional, not just in your student life, when you face failures, even in your professional life, let me tell you that you will be pushed in your pursuit for success, in your pursuit for career progression, you will be pushed, you will be pulled, you will feel broken as well. It is your ability to bounce back that will define you and will take you to new heights. So this resilience is extremely important trait. And it is something that each one of us can acquire, we can learn, right? So this resilience is extremely important. The third thing, which is your continuous professional development, which I just talked about as well. Because the pace of change is faster than ever, right? The skill set which used to become redundant every 5-10 years will probably, new skill set will come in and the older skill set will become redundant faster than ever. So you'll have to continue to be on the watch. You will have to continue to look for emerging trends and continue to update yourself to stay relevant, to ensure that you stay relevant and you add value for organizations and society that you work for. An important aspect which we can never overemphasize is ethics. Remember that we are professionals who sign on code of ethics. This is a distinctive characteristic of professional accountants as compared to many other business professionals, that we say with pride that we sign on a code of ethics. In many a times, I mean, in your professional career, you will be faced with ethical dilemmas. You will be faced with tough choices, where on the one hand, there will be public interest, and on the other hand would be your personal interest or organization or similar kind of difficult choices. Your ability to hold your ground and not follow the slippery slope will define you as a professional. Always remember that with your suffix ACA, Associate Chartered Accountant, or FCA, Fellow Chartered Accountant, right, you will carry a lot of responsibility. You will not be just representing yourself, you will be representing your professional body, an entire global fraternity of accountants. So this is extremely important that we we continue to reflect ourselves and reflect our actions and ensure that we are strong on ethical path. Remember, when you achieve pinnacle of success, do not forget to give back to your community and society. Because I always say this, that the self-actualization, the happiness, and the legacy of giving is far greater than taking. So with these words, my prayers for your success in every walk of life, in all your career endeavors, for all your future endeavors. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure with you here. Rida, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Khalil. Okay, so now it's time to introduce the first speaker of the day, who is joining us all the way from Canada. We're so happy to have her here, and she'll be speaking on the topic networking in the post-pandemic world. The thing is that global presence and networking, these are some things that we as students really seem to neglect. And when we are, when we become employees, then we suddenly realize that, oh, we need to work on these things as well. So why not just focus slowly and gradually, since we are a student. And so to enunciate this further, we have our very special guest. She is a CA from India and a CPA from the US, currently working as a senior internal auditor in Lincoln Electric. Also, she helps professionals go global, and she's a soft skills trainer helping people bridge the gap. So ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Ms. Nidhi Nagori.
No, after 6:30. Thank you. Okay, thank you.
I apologize. I was on mute. I think that's a trend with this everything going online and all of us being online. But thank you so much for the kind introduction. I really appreciate it. And honestly, it's so good to be connected to the student community again. And just listening to even Mr. Khalil's speech, it just got me back to my own student days, back in the days when we were always looking for motivation. So I really appreciate all the positivity that's been flowing here. My week is definitely going to start off very well. So today I'm going to be talking about preparing for a post-pandemic world. I apologize for the lighting. It's still very dark here because fall's coming in, and so now it's going to get darker. So thankfully we don't have to see my face for long. I have a very nice PowerPoint to replace that. Why do I think that this topic is particularly important? Because with the pandemic, the one thing that I've seen working in a multinational, now my own employer has operations in over 90 countries, and I've been to about 25 countries with them. We haven't, all the 90 countries now I see have moved to technology. And I've traveled to 25 countries in 18 months with them, and I don't think I'm going to be traveling like that ever again, because now the world itself is different. So we have to be preparing appropriately for the post-pandemic world. And what do I mean by us preparing for it? Of course, the businesses are preparing in terms of, reorienting their supply chain or making sure customers are still getting serviced, etc. What is it that we need to do as employees? What is it that we need to do to stay relevant in the market? Well, I think something that I never realized, and something that I struggled a lot with when I moved to North America, was networking. So unless you are networking, wherever you are, you have to always network, because if you don't network, you don't get to know people. And if you don't get to know people, you stay less informed on many grounds. Those grounds not only include what skill sets should you develop. So if you're not talking to other people, you have no idea about what the market currently demands from you. You have no idea about what skill sets are right now relevant, what roles are going redundant, which fields are coming up, which fields are dying out, etc. So you have to constantly know people to position yourself well in the world after the pandemic. So, of course, this is just, a slide that I had. The only thing that I want to point out to you is that I've been in a place where I've been very, very shy and underconfident. If you're looking at me right now and wondering, oh, well, she can speak. I come from a very small village in India. So for me to have learned English, all of that was a very gradual process. And most of what I know, I learned in the last 4 years. Not because I was bright, but because I was willing to learn. So if I can do this in 4 years, if I can pick up a language that I wasn't even good at, if I can find ways to network, and I've actively speak at a bunch of support forums, whether it's, working with the Canadian government, helping immigrants settle in, whether it's working with Indian colleges, whether it's, right now talking to you guys. I've been doing a bunch of that only because I know that this is a skill that can be learned. And I've lived in the US, I've lived in Canada, I've lived in India, I've worked all over the world. And I can tell you that we are education-wise very, very well positioned. What we need is the right set of communication and networking skills to display our education, to put our knowledge to use. That is the only thing that we need. So let's talk about, why do you think I'm here? Well, according to me, the definition of normal has changed. We all call it the new normal. So what really is new normal? Now, the pandemic is nowhere gone, but in the last 6 or 7 months, we have seen a world emerge that did not exist. Think about it from your personal standpoint. Now people are wearing masks. Now people are social distancing. Now you're not having, weddings do not have 200 people, 300 people. People are having smaller weddings. All of these things were unimaginable even up until last year. So when so much has changed in our personal life, obviously things have also changed in the professional world, because now we are collaborating, we are brainstorming ideas across borders. I'll give you my example. I've been working with, my travel has stopped. That doesn't mean that I'm not working in different countries. So of course I'm working in different countries. I'm working across time zones, and we're still working and brainstorming ideas with our teams all over the world. And sometimes you're working at 2 a.m., sometimes you're working at 4 a.m., sometimes you're working at 10 p.m. because you have to adjust according to the time zone. And you have to make sure that the work is still happening, the quality of work is still happening, which is very difficult, because we were so used to meeting people and doing that work. And now those meetings are not happening. You're trying to do everything over WebEx, which obviously is not the best way, and it is frustrating. But I think in the last 7 months, we've gotten more and more efficient in terms of collaborating and brainstorming our ideas across borders. We've figured out a way. And the best thing about us as humans is that we adapt. So everything around us has changed. Our personal lives have changed, our professional lives have changed. So when so much has changed, why do you think networking becomes very, very important? Well, because right now, when you're sitting in your home country or in your city, where, wherever your home is, and you aspire to work globally, and by globally, I don't really mean that you won't necessarily have to leave your home country. No, you aspire to work, say, from your home country, or you aspire to go for a master's, or you aspire to move to some other country and work for a couple of years. How do you then project yourself? How do you then put yourself out there so that the employers there can notice you, the recruiters there can notice you? Back in the old normal, you could have traveled, you could have, done a short trip. I knew a lot of friends who would come to write US CPA, so they would just travel to the US to write US CPA and try and, meet a couple of people, see if there are any opportunities. But now that the flexibility to travel has gone, so then what is it that we need to do to put ourselves out there? Then the onus is more on us, because now the recruiters are still there, the employers are still there, they're just in a distant country. So you have to make all the effort to come in their view. You have to make all the effort to put yourself out there so that they can notice you. And that's why networking is important. So let's talk about mediums to network. And maybe before that, I'm going to tell you a bit about my own experience with networking. So when I moved to the US, I knew no one, and I absolutely had no support, no family, nobody to understand what US finance world is like. And I'm just like you guys, I'm a chartered accountant. So for me, it was so difficult to explain where I came from. Add to that, I wasn't good in English. I wasn't good when it came to networking. And because I wasn't good in all of my communication skills, I wasn't able to display my knowledge that I'd gained as a chartered accountant out. So a recruiter that I met in Cleveland, I moved to Cleveland, Ohio. So he told me that, hey, you really need to brush up your networking skills. That's the first time I heard the word. And I was like, what is networking? So he said, well, networking is that, you reach out to people, you talk to them, and you try to build a professional relationship. There's nothing personal. It's all professional. You reach out to people, you talk to them, you talk about career, you talk, whether you need career guidance, whether you just want to have a conversation because you think their career path is interesting, whether you want to understand the economy, whether people reach out to you because they need help with something, they need help with guidance, understanding of the economy, etc. And then you carry on the conversation, again, on very professional levels. You never go on to personal things at all. And those relationships remain. There is nothing transactional. Nobody is helping you get a specific job. Nobody is, helping you with, like, there is no end goal to it. You're not talking to someone like, how people send messages on LinkedIn saying, hey, here's my resume attached, please apply a job for me. So that's not what networking is. You reach out to people, you tell them, hey, I find your profile is interesting and I would want to have a conversation about what is it that you do. And that way you get to know the person or the professional behind it. That's networking. The goal is never to become best friends or to get to know somebody very up close and personal. When I moved to Canada, I knew zero. So I moved to Canada in June 2019. I knew zero people here, and it's been over a year. I've met over 1,300 people through networking. This is all that I've created, by the way. So 1,300 people that I've spoken to, met in some form or the other, of which I'd say 10 to 12 have now become very good friends because I kept meeting them, the conversations happened, and now it doesn't feel like a foreign country because I already know so many people that I've met through my initial networking channel. So it can go both ways, but that is the primary goal of networking. From not knowing anyone to now knowing 1,300 professionals in Canada gives me very good leverage in the sense that if I want to know something in Alberta, I know somebody who's living there. If I want to know something in Montreal, like if I want to know what Montreal job market is like, what the industries are looking for, what the employers are looking for, what salary to expect, what skill sets do I need, etc. I know somebody who can help me with that understanding. So what it really helps is it helps you have your people who you trust, and they then help you build your career and take your career forward. So that's networking. And I know it may sound very different because to me it sounded very different when I first moved from India, because in India you're either friends or you're not. There was no such concept of networking, at least up until 2016. So that was very, very different for me. And now it doesn't seem that different. Now it's, it's a part of life, and you sort of have to know people to grow. What I always tell people is, this is how I explain networking to people in my circles, that the more people you know, the faster you grow. You have to know people, and not just in one country. You have to know people everywhere. Because I know somebody in Ireland, I know what Ireland's economy is like. And I don't know these people through my personal relationships. Everybody is through networking. So, just getting to know people in Middle East, Ireland, all the major economies, minor economies, upcoming economies, that helps you understand what each country or what each economy is like. And that gives you a very good sense of where the world is moving. So it will really help you progress your career. So that's about networking. Now let's talk about mediums to network. Offline mediums include in-person meets mostly. So when I would go back to when I learned networking here, and when I would go back to India, my home country, I would do these in-person meets. Even if I was traveling for work, or if my vacation is a week, but I would still find time to do these in-person networking events wherever I could, in different cities. So that included professional networking events where you have something like a speed networking. You talk to a bunch of people one-on-one, and then you get 1 minute to talk to someone else, and then you move to someone else, and then you talk to them. So that's one. Then you have coffee chats, which is very common in North America, when you reach out to people and you just ask them, hey, do you think we can meet over coffee, and you can take your resume and stuff, and you can get guidance from them in terms of if your resume is okay, or any other questions that you may have about your career. So that's number two. And then Meetup Groups. There's this app called Meetup. This is something that I've used in India also, by the way. So there's an app called Meetup, and they used to have networking events. I didn't think it was very professional because also it was 2015, and so think that this was a concept that was just coming alive in India. So it wasn't that beneficial, but I mean, I would recommend that you still look it out. So those are the offline mediums. Now they are kind of gone at this point, given the pandemic. You're not going to be meeting people in crowded spaces. So the offline mediums at this point stand dead. So then what is it that we do? And, as Khalil sir was talking about getting technology into our lives. So the more technology that you get in almost any aspect of your life, the easier your life will become. And the first one of that, is getting a global presence, which is very, very positive. So you need to have a personal global brand. And what do I mean by personal global brand? Global brand? Well, you need to be creating something in terms of your name that people can associate with. I think the best platform that exists today is LinkedIn. If you're not on LinkedIn, hop onto it. Even as a student, that's completely okay. In North America, kids in grade 11 and 12, that's high school, they get onto LinkedIn. It's a part of their coursework. And I know it because I trained the high school students in the US. So the association had reached out to me, and I was very surprised that how are people in class 11 and 12 getting onto LinkedIn? Now, think of it. When somebody gets onto LinkedIn in class 11 with proper guidance, they already know how to use the platform. I came onto LinkedIn after I moved to North America. So I came onto LinkedIn when I was 23. Somebody had already gotten onto LinkedIn when they were 16. They were 7 years ahead of me in this. And these kids have been on LinkedIn, they've been using it. Now I know a lot of high schools in India have also started using it because I trained some of them, but it's not that the number is not like what it is here. This platform is important and it is a professional platform. I know there's been a lot of conversation about, oh my God, is it still professional enough? It's upon you. It's upon how you use the platform. To me, it's still very professional. It has the social media aspect to it. It has its own algorithms, which is great because then you can kick things out that you don't want to see. So I don't see anything that's not relevant to me. Everything that I see is a very professional, sanitized post. So get onto LinkedIn if you're already not there, and I'm going to help you with some ideas about what is it that we can create. And then once you're on LinkedIn, just getting active on the platform gives you a very good edge in terms of your global presence. Why? Because then when you're online, you can reach out to anybody anywhere. You can reach out to somebody in Latin America. You can reach out to somebody in New Zealand. You can reach out to somebody in Joburg. You can reach out to anyone anywhere. And I think that is the best part about having a networking platform online. So once you are active on LinkedIn, once you've started creating the brand of yours, or once you have a decent profile, everything going for you, then you can reach out to people, have conversations. And then, for example, the immigrants that I help, in general, they always, I always prefer phone calls because it's easier to talk to someone than sit and type messages or send voice notes. So eventually those conversations then move on to phone calls. I guide them, or they help me with something if I need to, or Zoom calls, or, now you have Google Hangout, just so many other options to look at. So once you start building that brand and once you start getting active on the platform, then start identifying the kind of people that you want to connect with. Identify who is it that you think can help you move ahead in your career, just in the sense of their guidance. And then use that relationship. Make sure that the relationship is not transactional, because that's not something that's going to work for you. Make sure that the relationship is give and take. So you should also have something to contribute to your professional peer that you're going to be meeting on these platforms. And then you'll see it's easier to take these conversations offline. So you will in effect be doing the same thing that you would do as an in-person meet, except that now the platform is different. So let's talk about how can you optimize a platform like LinkedIn. Now, I know I'm talking about LinkedIn, but I know there are other platforms like Shapper. I already mentioned Meetup to you. And honestly, this is not limited to LinkedIn. What I'm talking about here is something that you can use for any professional networking platform that you come across. So how can we end up maximizing the gains from an online platform? It may seem pretty ridiculous, but I've found my jobs in North America through LinkedIn. So I remember that I was looking for an opportunity, and I told you, a recruiter met me and he's like, you really need to brush up your networking skills. Apart from that, he looked at my resume and he was like, oh yeah, well, I don't think this resume is according to the North American format. I didn't have anyone to guide me at that point. So I was just like, okay, well, sure. So he sat with me, he worked on my LinkedIn profile. He got me my resume cleaned, and then he sort of gave me a little bit of tips. He introduced me to some networking clubs, and I took his help, and he did all of that just knowing that there's this woman from a very different country and now she's completely lost in the US. So I eventually ended up finding opportunities on LinkedIn. Until date, people may think the economy is bad, and the economy is bad, but there are still jobs available and recruiters still reach out to me. You have to keep your platform active on LinkedIn. That's it. You have to keep your profile active. That's the key, because what happens is when a recruiter searches in the search bar, I suppose somebody's looking for a chartered accountant and a CPA in Toronto. I live in Toronto area. So my profile will generally pop up first or second. Not because I'm the best CEO or CPA, no, because my profile is the most active. So you want to be on the top 3 search pages of the recruiter. Because think of it like, even when you're doing Google search, you're not going till the 20th page, right? On any Google search, you're going on like maybe first, second, max third, you're done. That's the attention span that we all have. So you have to be on the first couple pages of the search. And how can you do that? Well, if your profile is active, LinkedIn, the way it works is it puts the most active profiles first. So like I said, when you look for a CPA in Toronto region as a recruiter, my profile generally comes up first or second. And I know this because I'm friends with a couple of recruiters now, and I've seen this happen in real time. So that's how LinkedIn works. And if you're not active on the profile, then the benefits are not really there. So you have to be active, you have to be using it, you have to be commenting, sharing, maybe even creating, posting your own journey. And eventually you'll see that the profile gets active, you get more and more views, more recruiter views, etc., and they really help. When I was moving to Canada, when I decided to move to Canada, I still work with my US employer, but I was only 9 months into my role, and when I went and told them, hey, I want to move, they offered me to just stay, with our Canadian entity and work with the same team. So that was done. So when I'd moved in June, and then in March, I wanted to put it out on LinkedIn that I'm doing this move, right? Because we're changing countries. So I wanted to let my network know. And I posted about moving to Toronto, and the post obviously gained a lot of momentum. A lot of people thought that I'm looking for a job, even though I wasn't. And these people offered me to come down, interview, or at least meet, etc. So I got over 20 such requests, not because, again, I'm a bright candidate, no, but because I moved in June, but September, October was when I decided that I'm going to make the move next year. So from September 2018, I started building my network in Canada. I started connecting with people. I started having the conversations. I was never asking for a job, but never. That's not the question that you need to ask. You just need to have easy professional conversations. And 6 months of doing that, and in March when I posted, this network that had already known me because we'd had conversations, or they had gotten to know me through my posts, they reached out to me asking, hey, do you need a job? We saw that you're moving to Toronto. Like, do you need a job? Do you want to come down, interview? There is a position here, etc. So all of that happened because I was active on the network. I was constantly looking to get help and to help people. And I've gotten a bunch of leads, and it's never stopped. If you say the pandemic is bad, yes, it is. The economy is still bad, but I try to keep my profile active only because I want to know what's going on in the market. And so I still get recruiters are still reaching out, and it's not the end of the world. That's what I'll say. So you really have to optimize the platform. Otherwise, it really gives you no benefit. Now, how do you optimize the platform? Let's talk about playing around a platform like LinkedIn. Of course, you need a good headshot, a very catchy headline, and an interesting bio. Now, bios are not something that your recruiters read, but bios are definitely something that other people will be reading. So that's completely fine too. If you're looking to network, when people are reading a bio, They have to feel that, okay, this is an interesting person. Make sure that you're sending personalized invites over regular invites. So every time that you're trying to send invites or connection requests to people, you'll see now LinkedIn gives you an option of personalizing it, like adding a message. So do that. And what you can, I'll also give you an idea of what you can write in your personalized invites. Why is it that you should do that? Because two reasons. One, of course, it looks like, you've personalized the invite, you really want to connect with the person. And then two, even if the person has their connection limits are full, LinkedIn maxes out at 30K, they can at least respond to your message. That's the ability that they'll have. So make sure that you always send out personalized invites as much as possible. Look at making this a long-term relationship building over transaction introductions. If you are just talking to somebody about getting a job, the conversation stops. As opposed to, I'm not looking at one job. I'm looking at all my jobs in the future. I'm looking at business opportunities. I'm looking at my whole future. So I know that any conversation that I enjoy cannot stop. And so that's why I never make it about job or, any particular, I don't limit it to one thing. It's always about, maybe instead of job, you can just put it, what is the field like? Like, for example, I work in internal audit and compliance. So I can just ask them, what is the compliance field like? What are the legal requirements, certifications required, etc. That's an easier conversation to have. And then those conversations can really go ahead. And I told you, I made a bunch of friends, like real friends, because of that. Then think about structuring some posts for your audience. Now, you can only talk to so many people, right? Like none of us have the ability to sit and talk to everybody in the world. So the best way to connect with people is to put posts out. If you're putting posts out, people get to know who you are, they get to know your thought process, and then they're really able to connect with you. Of course, make sure that you've identified your target network. That's very important. Now, target network on LinkedIn is what is it that you're looking for? That's most important. So for example, when I started getting active on LinkedIn, I knew that I was looking for finance professionals in Canada because I'm going to be making a move in Canada. So I started connecting with finance professionals in Canada, and that became my target network. Right now, for the last 1 year, I don't have that target network. My target network is more students because I'm trying to reach out to students and tell them what is it that they need to do, etc. So now my target network has changed. And so my content that I'm putting out obviously changes according to the target network. And most importantly, be patient. If you're going to be sending messages to people, they may or may not respond. Be okay with that. So headshot and headline. This is my current headshot. That's not my current headline, but this is from an old one, but I've still put it out there. So my headshot is of something that my employer gave, but I don't go in for a professional headshot. Like, don't be that crazy. I would say just make sure that the whole focus. Now, I asked my employer has a photographer, and so I was asking her, what is it that they do? Why is it that they had to change my headshot? So she said, because the whole focus needs to be on your face. There is nothing that should be taking away any focus from your face. So you shouldn't be wearing anything flashy, no crazy colors, nothing. You should be looking pleasant and confident. So that's the headshot. And then the headline, I always say this to people, make sure it defines you in very short. So for me, I think the biggest assets that I own are my educational certifications. Then obviously the field that I'm interested in, the fact that I've traveled so much, I have 3 homes, and everything additional. So I always say keep it defined, like short, but keep it something that defines you. Personalized relationship building. So if you're asking what is it that I can send in a message when I'm connecting with people, here's what I generally send. I came across a post of yours, or I came across your profile, and I realized there's a lot that I can learn by having someone like yourself in my network. And congrats on the achievement. Such a positive and easy message, and then easy to send, and easy to connect with people. Then deciding your network, I already told you this is a process. It works both ways. You have to give, and only then will you get. So define your content. Define what is it that you want to post. Now, you guys are all students, so post about being a student. Post about the struggles. It's not like you're a student and you don't struggle. No, not at all. You have your own struggles. Post about that. define the target audience, define the network that you want to reach. So I told you I had a network decided, and I started writing about my experience as a finance professional, as an immigrant, etc. And that connected with my target network. If you're going to be posting things that are completely irrelevant to your target network, then you will get nowhere. So for example, if you are posting about, if I start posting about political affair in India, it is irrelevant to my target network, which is finance professionals in Canada. So then it doesn't really make sense to be posting that for my network here. So I try to make sure that you're always thinking about what is your target audience, and then post your content strategically. Make sure it's always real and relatable. By that I mean that, if you're posting technical um, uh, articles like interest rate cuts, etc., which are great. They're great for your personal knowledge and education, but they don't have that kind of reach, in the sense that it is not relatable to everyone. Not everyone may find it interesting. Not everyone may find it relatable. It gets too technical. That's the term that I'll use. But if you're posting, say, your journey of being a chartered accountant, or your journey of being a student, or facing the exams, etc., anybody can relate to it, right? So keep it real and relatable. It gives you more reach. Now, if you're wondering why do you have to do this, and if you're like already anxious, I'll tell you this: putting your thoughts in the public is very tough. And I am a living example of it. Now when I post, I'm not going to look back at what people are saying, but initially it was tough because people start judging you because you're putting your thoughts out in the public. You give them a medium to know you. You give them a medium to get into your own space and to have an opinion on who you are as a professional. But if you don't do that, how do you think the global world will take a chance on you? If I wasn't active on LinkedIn, how is it that I would have built this community in Canada, where even with the pandemic, I've been very confident that, if I were to not have an opportunity tomorrow, I have a network that'll get me somewhere. So even if I lose my job, even if I lose my employment, I know I have a network that is steady enough to tell me, hey, it's okay if you've lost your current job, we have an opportunity for you. That's the kind of network you need. And why did that happen? Because I let people get into my space and I let them know who I am. So you have to let the world give you a chance. And until you let them into your personal space, they will never know who you are as a professional. So that's about it. I know that was a lot of information out there, but I truly hope that it helps. If you have any questions, of course, send me an email, reach out to me. There's just so many ways: LinkedIn, Instagram, emails. Just reach out to me. I'm more than happy to help with any questions that you have. And of course, that's all from me. I hope this session was useful, and I really hope that you guys will at least use some of these tips.
Nidhi, that was actually very interesting, and I'm sure our students picked up a lot of good tips from that session. This actually was a result of networking. I kind of found Nidhi on LinkedIn and I contacted her for this. So, you see how much reach you have through this. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for accepting our invitation.
It's a pleasure.
Now,
Thank you.
to move on. So when we think about rising from the ashes, our attention inevitably goes to the fall that we had rather than focusing on the rise and, to keep on rising and how to rise. So we have a session to help you kind of shift your focus and focus on the positive side of things. And for that, we have a very special guest. She is a senior consultant at Carnelian and also the founder of School of Leadership and Amwaj, also the trustee of School of Leadership Foundation and the general secretary of Trainers Resource Group. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, with a warm welcome, I'd like to invite Ms. Shiri Naqvi to talk on the topic Shape Up.
Thank you, Rida. Thank you so much. So wonderful to be with you all. And I just was listening to Nidhi's presentation. I didn't know all those things you were telling, Nidhi. It's fabulous. At any age, one can be a student, and this LinkedIn and stuff, oh my God, how do you know so many things? It was most valuable. Thank you. And thank you, ICAP, for inviting me to these beautiful people which I cannot see. And my first request to everybody is, please put on your cameras, your beautiful face. Hey, Nitin, thank you. Imran, Yudha and Hasnain, very good. Thank you. Come on, more people, please. इतने खूबसूरत हसीन चेहरे फारूक रखते हुए भी ना आना ये तो गुनाह है. Come on, don't let me do this. Please, Nimmat, there you are. Malshi, Adnan, Sofia, Safa, Sujeva, Tausif, please. Sofia आ गई. कितनी प्यारी हैं आप, क्यों छुपा रही हैं अपने को? हम एक दूसरे की मुस्कुराहटें नहीं देखेंगे तो दिल कैसे उदासी से खुशी में जाएगा, है ना? Malshi, thank you for being there as well. बहुत शुक्रिया. रिदा, मेरे पास स्क्रीन शेयरिंग का ऑप्शन आ गया. Beautiful. All right. Now my topic that I've chosen for you in these times, whatever the time, it doesn't matter whether it's COVID time or whatever the time it is, this topic you will be able to relate to wherever and whenever. आप मुझे जरा ये बताएं, रिदा, चले मैं आपसे ही पूछती हूँ, आपकी शेप कैसी है? In the sense, do you think you are mentally shaped up to 100%? क्या ख्याल है?
I think it keeps on changing. I mean, it is 80 sometimes, it is 50 some days, highs and lows. So I really don't know how to keep it constant.
Good. अच्छा, ये बताएं नितिन, are you physically shaped up? यानी कि आप चाहते हैं जैसे आप physical आपकी सेहत हो वैसे आप हैं?
Personally, I'd say with all the pandemic coming, the lockdown, not really.
Oh no. अच्छा, नेमत जरीन, ये बताएं कि are you spiritually shaped up? यानी आपके अंदर इंस्पिरेशन और रूहानी ताकत कितनी है? 100%?
Assalamu alaikum, first of all. And if you're talking about spiritual shaping up, I constantly try to work out. I constantly try to stimulate my brain activities to shape up spiritually. And obviously, from a religious perspective, I try to pray. This is very much needed in this crisis, I believe.
Very good. Thank you for all your responses. So body, mind, soul, and heart, emotions. How shaped up are we? You all are masters and experts in numbers, right? You look at the health of an organization. How healthy is an organization financially? And because of that, they'll be able to pay their people, develop new products, serve the community. The numbers say it all. So your responses must also be self-audited. Self-audited, how well shaped you are in emotionally, mentally, physically, and spiritually. Have numbers for it out of 10. So this program is about raising the shape that you're in all these 4 dimensions of our existence that we are in. So our objective for this half an hour is to rebuild our enthusiasm and to redefine how we move ahead. No matter what the circumstances, how we can move ahead. Let's start with a survey. This survey was done by a professor at the Punjab University. His name was Dr. Iqbal Alvi. What he used to do was ask his students every first week of every semester, he used to give them a project which used to run for the whole semester, and at the end, he would listen to their presentations. This semester's project's name was Go Out and Find Out What Are the Types of People in Pakistan. What makes organizations survive and thrive, right? This was the project proposal. Now it's the last week of the semester and the students are presenting to Dr. Iqbal Alvi. What they presented was this presentation. They said in Pakistan, there are 2 types of people. There are survivors and there are achievers. How many are they? 85% are survivors, 14% are in the middle, and 1% are achievers. So Dr. Alvi said, but you have given a wrong graphic presentation. You have made a small box for the big number. And the student said that is intentional because this survivor blue box is very tight. Whereas the achiever box, oh, the slide has ended there, but the box keeps going up to the skies. Then Dr. Alvi asked, how have you divided people into this? They said, we went on the streets and we heard sound bites from passerbys. We went to organizations and we questioned people, we interviewed them. And what the crux of the matter is, what the determinants of how we put them into the boxes is, that people who are in the survivor mode say, nobody gives me an opportunity. I'm waiting, sitting here for somebody to come and knock at the door and say, boom, here's your opportunity. They say, oh, the Pakistan has no resources. We are very poor. We are a poor country. They say, I am majboor. I can't help it. I have to do wrong things. I have to break my values. I have to lie so that I can make my job done. They say, no one appreciates me. If somebody would come and give me a pat on the shoulder, I will become motivated and then I will do my job better. They say, the boss is right. So whatever I say, it doesn't matter. They say, company should give me job security. And they say, status is everything. When I get the chair, when I get the position, then I will do big things. Chote kaam, chote log. Vadde kaam, vaddi kursi se aate hain. Big chair, big job. All right. So what do the achievers say? The achievers say the exact opposite. They say, there are so many opportunities. Pakistan is the land of opportunity. I don't know where to start first. They say, Pakistan is resource rich, abundant resources. There is no dearth of anything at all. They say, I am the master of my choices. I am not majboor. I make the decisions, I make the choices, and I am accountable for the consequences. They say, my ability to work is my appreciation. I don't need, please don't waste time to come and tell me, shabash, you've done a good job. No, the boss is right. Of course, they're more senior, they're more learned, they're more expert, but so am I. However, the customer who pays my salary and my boss's salary, that customer is always right. They say, the company should not give me security. My skill is my security. And the more skills I have, the more my profile on LinkedIn and so on, and I will be secure in my future. They say status, not the chair. No, stature, character is everything. So when I ask you, my dear participants, which side are you on? Let's do a quick survey and find out from you. Are you on the blue side or the green side? So in the comments box, just write B for blue and C for green. And and if you're in between both of them, then write B, between. Oh, no, B for blue, sorry. Then you write I, which means in between. Yeah, I, okay? So let's see what your comments are. Let's see your comments. I'm just going to zoom out of this presentation and let's see what comments have come. Okay, wow, look at that. Green, 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 blue, green, I, G, G, I, R, I, G, 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 I, G, G. Okay, so lots of greens, lots of I's, very few blues. Wow, look at that. And thank you for your quick responses. And it goes on. One of very few are listed on that. Very nice. So what we're looking at here, that most of us are somewhere in between, blue and mostly green. Now, when we ask psychologists, what do they make out of it? They say the blue side is called people who have an entitled mentality. They are victims. Hum bichare, come government, pick up the dirt that I spit out of my mouth, come and pick up the garbage that I throw, come and make the roads for me. I'm not paying taxes. No, I won't pay taxes, but come build the flyover, the underpass. So they're always victims. They're always bicharas. They're pitiable. What are the green side? They are privileged. They say, oh, we are privileged to be breathing this oxygen around us. We are privileged to be sitting in the shade of a tree. Thank you, thank you. They have a benevolent, a giving outlook, because only with giving do you get happiness. So that is the sides that we're looking at. So then Dr. Alvi asked the students, please explain, like over here, some of the things that I've been listening to lately. People say, oh, you know, Zoom classes are so boring. I miss my friends and social connection in the classroom. I can't work from home. Too many distractions. Pandemic time is a failure. Complete lost. It's called the lost year. 6 months delayed due to my exams not happening. You know, so much wasted time. I missed my dream job. Oh my God, it's gone to someone else. So stress, stress, stress. The most fashionable word these days is stress. Of course, many people have been sick with COVID. So many loved ones have passed away. All my sincerest condolences and sympathies are with them. But generally, other than COVID, why the stress? This is mega opportunity to do so much more sitting at home. You've always wanted to be more at home, right? Well, here it is. Free fund mein mil gaya. All right, so Dr. Alvi asked his participants, his students, what made you, give me one word which defines why this is so. And the students said, it's a mindset. The setting of the mind, like the tuning on a radio. So if you want to hear 89, FM 89, and your radio needle is on FM 101, you got to tune it a little bit to bring it on 89. Then you hear the music you enjoy. So if you want to enjoy life, turn the needle a little bit of your mindset and set it to the tune you wish to enjoy. हम उर्दू में कहते हैं, जैसी आंखें वैसे नजारे. नजारे नहीं पसंद, आंखें बदल लो. If you don't like what you see, change your eyes. And that means change your perceptions. So here goes. Now I'm going to take you into how you can shape up your mindset. All right. No, is anybody's life like this? You know, peaceful, calm, no storms, no hurricane, nothing. Nobody on this earth has this kind of life. At times, yes, of course, most of the times. But a lot of the times, what pulls us out and puts us into stress is this storm, is the waves and waves. But listen, some people are in the wave. It's their hobby. It gives them pleasure to be there. It's fun. Why? Because they've learned to ride the wave. How do you ride the wave? Some people earn through this. It is their profession to ride the wave. If the wave wasn't there, they wouldn't be able to eat. Other people run away from the wave, the survivors, and the achievers, they say, are those, let it come on, because I am strong enough to face it. Now, there are 3 components I want you to learn that will make you ride the wave, whether it's pandemic or exams or whatever. Ammi daantti hai, you get scolded, whatever. Here it is. Let me first find out how switched on you are. Here's an exercise I want us all to do. And therefore, I need the cameras on right now again. And please put on your mics. I want to hear the shouts and screams also going on. All right? How switched on are you? I'm going to show you a set of commands on the screen, and you've got to do them. You will have to do them wherever you're sitting, in your seats, cameras, before the camera, office, home. Please do them. Ready, steady, go. Do it. Sharif, sabka haath yahan pahuncha hai, huh? Okay. All right. Right. Next command. Next command. Next command. Okay, thank you. Now I gave you the same opportunity 5 times. 5 times you had the opportunity to show, are you switched on? And that was my briefing. How switched on are you? You know, on the first time like this, second, third, fourth, 5. Now the world keeps giving us opportunities, and this is what we do. Oh no, jeda khol bole ui bua khole. No, I should be stuck. I'll get stuck. If I open the door, I'll get stuck in. This is what we do. We do self-sabotage. We kill ourselves. We kill the opportunities that are bashing our door down. You know what you should have done on the first? If you're really switched on, you could have stood on your chair like this. Or you could have told me, hang on, I've got a ladder in the house. I'm going to bring the ladder and I'm going to stand on the ladder. Where is the enthusiasm? And then you sarpito and say, the world doesn't give me opportunities. This is all the difference. The difference is not what the opportunity is, it is how you respond to it. I gave you 5 opportunities, none of you made it. Sorry, I will not hire any of you. This is how I do my job selection, how I do my job interviews with people. If the people don't stand on the chair or the table, I do not hire them. That's the first step of my job interview. You get it? Does ICAP teach you that? If it doesn't, now you know. All right? Okay. Moving on. The diagnosis we've done. This was a diagnosis. So you all need my prescription. I'm the doctor and you need my prescription. What is the prescription? It is made up of 3 words. It is called khapt, zapt and rapt. That is my prescription to you, please. Now, for those who do not understand Urdu, for our guests from all over, khapt means I find out. It means passion to the extent of madness. Yeah? Zapt means to be restrained, to be constrained. So khapt spreads you all over and zapt brings you into a confinement. And rapt is connection. Let's go a little deeper into these words. Khapt. The best way to understand khapt is from Iqbal's poetry. Khuda tujhe kisi tufan se ashna kar de कि तेरे बहर की मौजों में इज़्तिराब नहीं. You've got the beher, you've got the maujon, you've got the khuda, you've got the idea of tufan, but the istirab is not there. The current, there is current in the walls, in the plug. When I put the plug in, the light comes on. There is current inside me. Do I bring the light or do I add to the darkness? What is your kalbali? What is your khapt? What is your passion? Understand that. So what I'm saying is these are the different words of khapt. English passion is compared to what khapti means. Khapti means pagal, diwangi, jununi, crazy, ashik. When you are of an idea, when you are crazy about an idea, it happens. Just look back into your past. All those things which you have achieved in your life is because you were khapti about it. And all those things you did not achieve in your life, you didn't really care. And they didn't. You said, I try to do it, and it didn't happen. When I was young, I was only 17 years old. I was in Canade College, Lahore. I fell in love with this young man. He was 21, I was 17. And I was in the hostel with 500 other girls. Now, how to go on a date? How do you do that? I'm opening myself up to you. Please don't condemn me. I'm sharing a personal experience, all right? Let's go into morality of right or wrong of date, but just an experience, right? So, how do I go on a date? And we used to say, we'll meet each other at 5 o'clock at the Nahr. You know, the Ravi, the Nahr of Ravi in Lahore, we'll meet. And we knew exactly what spot. Now that young boy, he used to live in Karachi and I was in the hostel. I used to sit and plan with my friends, and from somewhere or the other, my beautiful dresses would appear, my jhumkas and my tikas and my parandas and my gajras, everything would appear, and I will sit in a tonga. Tonga is a horse-drawn cart, and I would reach that point on the Ravi. And this young man would come in from Karachi in buses and trains, and he would meet me at that point. You know, there was never a question in our minds that ye nahi ho sakta. It can't happen. That question never appeared in our mind. Where there is a will, there is a way. Since the last 40 years, day before yesterday was my 40th wedding anniversary. I'm married to that young man. He's still young for me, right? So I remember this movie, Om Shanti Om, in which Shah Rukh Khan says, अगर आप इरादा पक्का कर लें तो कायनात की तमाम कुव्वतें साजिश करती हैं आपको वहां पहुंचाने के लिए. If your commitment is strong enough, the cosmos, the strength of the cosmos combines and ensures you reach your destination. That is the power of being khapti. Yeah? It's a transformational mindset. All you got to do is when opportunity comes, don't say no and don't say yes. If you say no, you lost it. If you say yes, oh, what do I do now? Stress. Say po. It's possible. Let's provoke the mind. The solutions, if something comes in front of you, the solutions are all there. You just need to probe and provoke and see the possibilities. First say shukr and then let your mind open up. Then look at many alternatives, not just, acha chalo aise kar lete hain, let's do this. Many alternatives. Think of all the kind of ways you can manage to get that opportunity. Always think bigger, better, faster. Improve your own standard. Don't compare. When you compare, you'll either be bitter or arrogant. No good. Compare with your own standards and be the genius of the and instead of the tyranny of the or. The genius of the and is when you say, I will be truthful, I'll be honest, yet I will get my goal, and I will take my team along, and I will teach people, and the more ands you put, the more your genius is provoked. When you say, I will either be successful or be ethical, that or will make you the tyranny, wasted, mediocre. So this was a bit on khapt. Be passionate about something in your life. But if you are too khapti, there is a danger. If you remember when Benazir Sahiba was shahadat jab unki hui thi, when she died, we, in our love for her, in our khaptiness for her, we destroyed our country. Because that love can also be dangerous. Usko zabt karna, it has to be constrained. How do you constrain that ashikness, that ishq? Look at nature. If you take out petrol from the earth and you don't put it in constrain it in a pipe, it goes all over and destroys the earth. What about the recent ship that was all out from the tanker and it destroyed the marine life and all that was around it in the ocean? This is khaptiness which is not constrained, because petrol is power. Yeah. So as long as petrol comes into your car tank through a pipe, it's constrained, then your car engine starts and you can go towards your destination. As long as the gas comes in a pipe, you can cook your food. As long as the blood is in a pipe, it's fine. Otherwise, you will bleed to death. That is what nature is. So what is khapt? Zapt means you can use your intelligence to make the Hubble telescope and look into the universe, or you use your intelligence to make the atomic bomb and destroy the earth, let alone the universe. Where is the khaptina, the zapt? The khapt can be dangerous, okay? But it must be constrained. And how do we constrain our madness? By our values. Your values define who you are. So zapt is through your values. So we have our national values: unity, faith, discipline. In Karachi, ICAP is next to 3 swords, is a roundabout which has 3 swords, and it's written on one sword: unity, faith, and discipline. And the traffic that moves around that roundabout, do you see unity, faith, and discipline in that traffic? No. So do you see it in Jodia Bazaar? Do you see in the shopping mall? No. So these are empty words. But if we practice just these 3 words, my dear friends, my dear participants, just these 3 words, you practice them and we'll become the best nation in the world. Just these 3 words, okay? So whatever your values are at the molecular level. It defines the molecule of your character. And the first molecule is integrity, which is do what you say. We do what we say, that is called integrity. If I say come at 9 o'clock and you're not there at 9 o'clock, nobody will believe in you. So if you don't live on values, you're not believable. If you say safai nifs iman hai, half of faith is cleanliness, and you put a banner, normally what is under the banner? Trash. So that is called the saying, and that is the fail, the action. The difference, the gap between saying and doing is the level of integrity of a society, of a nation. So beliefs plus what is equal to values? Yes, action. And when we collectively practice these values, we define a culture. And the culture is our identity. That is our true identity. All right? So that is ZAP. Live on your values. Respect, honesty, integrity, sympathy, hamdardi, kindness. These are all universal values. Whether you are in China, in Canada, in Africa, in Australia, anywhere, these words will always be there. Whoever lives on them will be successful. Now, what happens with khapt and zabt? The meh comes in, the me, I. You know, and who does meh? Yes, a bakri, a sheep. And what happens to a goat on Eid day? That's right. So we don't want only meh. No. We will do a rabt. What is rabt? Okay, the third one. So if you only do my passion, my values, my passion, my values, you will be left alone and nobody will want to talk to you. So therefore we do rabt, which is what just now we were learning about LinkedIn, connection. The whole earth is linked up in one form or the other. Every human heart is linked with the next heart. How big is your connection? How big is your journey to the next point of connection? If you go by car, your driver's panel is a speedometer, the petrol gauge, the RPM, and so on. And you will go short distances. But if your cockpit is a little bigger, you will fly to a larger distance and have bigger connections. And if your cockpit is that of the space shuttle, you will not only be on Earth, but you will be connected to the space as well. What is your connection? What level of your brain, of your mind, of your emotion? What is the pain you feel of others? What's the khaptiness of far away? Who looks further away has a bigger connection and flies off? So here are some examples of people, and you will tell me who these people are, who won through their connections. Guess who this person is. Just clues. These are clues. You tell me. This is a game. 1950, born in 1955. 300 centers, including United States, UK, Canada, Japan, and Bangladesh. This person is 300 centers around the world. This person is in the Guinness Book of World Records. 9 national awards this person has won, 14 international awards, and 2 honorary doctorates. And this person is only class 8 pass. Has got 8 hospitals in Karachi only. 1,800 ambulances, 6,000 customers per day come to these, are served by these ambulances. He feeds 26,000 people per day, and the daily money this person spends is 8 million rupees. Can anybody guess who it is? Please put on your mics or write on the chat. To see on the chat, I'll have to go off the presentation. So please speak from your mics. Who is this person? The Pakistanis will know. Come on. Farooq Saab, can you guess?
Sorry, I was on mute. Yeah, sure. It's Abdul Sattar Eidi, and I guess the entire chat box is filled with that.
Thank you. I can't see my chat from here. Can I? No, there's no chat. Thank you so much. Brilliant. So what is the connection? Class 8 pass, And he's got two honorary doctorates and so many, whatever, you know him all, right? Even the international people, please read up on him. Next one, global figure, global entity. Anybody can guess this. Rapid expansion, over 29,000 stores as of now. In 65 countries, more than 400,000 people in employment, 300 billion revenue as of 2019, serves 18 million customers a day. Agreements with bookstores, airlines, hotels, each store matches the personality of the neighborhood, has built schools, clinics, safe facilities, sponsors literacy programs, Earth Days, cleanups, and regional AIDS walks. And I'll give you a hint, they started with only one product, just one product. Any guesses? Okay, let me see if there is a more chat. I've got the chat box here. Jeff Bezos, Amazon, Bill Gates, no, carry on, Walmart, no, sorry, I see all the EVs, Satar EVs on top now. All right, come on, keep guessing. Who can this be? Nestle, no, Bill Gates, Jack Ma, Alibaba. One product. Okay, let me give you further. One product they started was coffee. Yes, got it. Starbucks. See how one product can make you reach out to the world as long as you think big. One more. Two more actually, two examples I have. Oh, Rida, am I out of time? I can conclude here. Rida, tell me, it's 5:15. Am I out of time? I'll just conclude then.
You can take two more minutes, just, yeah.
2 more minutes, then I will complete. Similarly, the world's first trillionaires, so many, and you all know J.K. Rowling. Fantastic how she's reached out. Other incidences, so many more. SpaceX, what were they and what are they now? You can be the next SpaceX. What more can you do for your stakeholder? Every morning, ask yourself this question, stakeholders. What more? From your parents, your siblings, to all the stakeholders around you. So dear fellows, my best wishes to you. And I've got this beautiful shade that I like. दाग़ सुजूद अगर तेरी पेशानी पे है तो क्या हुआ कोई ऐसा सजदा भी कर दे कि ज़मीन पे निशान रह जाए. If you've got your prayer mark on your forehead, so what? Do some action which also leaves a mark on the ground. Thank you. Be the batsman of your life. The ball is not in your control, but the bat is. And the way you play your shot is in your control. So know your kalbali and face the storm. May you all live happily and prosperous lives. Thank you very much.
No, thank you for being here. I just could not stop smiling throughout your whole session. Amazing, really. Thank you. So like everybody mentioned here, every difficulty can be an opportunity, right? If we have the will and the perception to look at it. Similarly, we thought that why not have an international panel discussion now that everything is virtual and people from different countries can join us. So next up, we have a discussion on the impact of COVID on the lives of students. And we have eminent speakers from different countries joining us who will be introduced by our moderator, who is none other than our very own chairman, CASA South, and also member of the Southern Regional Committee, Mr. Hasnain Batani. Over to you, Hasnain.
Thank you very much, Rida. A very warm welcome to all the panelists and attendees from all over the world. I'm extremely delighted to have all these distinguished guests from all of our regional countries almost. Without any further delay, I'd like to introduce our panelists for our today's session. Now that we know that we have to adapt, it's a world where change is the only thing constant, and we need to make sure that we keep changing, we keep adapting, and we need to make sure that we keep upgrading ourselves. And now the students, and more than anything else, students need to know, young people need to know how the world is looking right now, and they need to know what they need to do in these times, in these troubling times, in these disruptive times, and these are the times where they need most guidance. And I think our panelists our experts will be definitely able to give their insights and their industry knowledge to all of these young people. So let's quickly move to our first panelist. He is from India, CA Jay Chhera. He's Central Council member and chairman, Student Skill Enrichment Board, Board of Studies Operations, the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. He has more than 24 qualifications. I was looking at his qualification, and it was actually in 3 lines, and more than 29 qualifications or degrees that he has acquired. He has studied advanced management at Italy, Germany, UK, US, China. He's also been awarded by the President of India for getting first in India in research, also awarded by the Chief Minister of Gujarat for science and research. He's associated with ICAI activities from 1995, currently a Central Council member, Chairman of Professional Development Committee, Vice Chairman of Peer Review Board, Member of Accounting Standards Board, Editorial Board, and 14 other committees of ICAI. He's member of various committees of South Asian Federation of Accountants. We welcome you, CA Jay Chhera, in our session. Thank you for being with us. Next we have is Mr. Sharif Tabani from Pakistan. He's a council member of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Pakistan, and also past vice president and founder of Tabani School of Accountancy, one of my teachers as well, my mentor, and has been associated with the field of education for the past more than 30 years, I believe. Welcome, Sharif Tabani Sahab, for being part of us, for joining us. Next we have is Mr. Yudraj Oli from Nepal. He's a vice president of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nepal. He's also the member of the Board of Studies of ICAN. We welcome you in our panel discussion. Thank you very much for being part of us. Next we have is a very distinguished guest from Bangladesh. His name is Mr. Tariqul Islam. He's partner at Huda Wasi Chaudhary and Company. He's a regular faculty. He's associated with the education and teaching profession, and at the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Bangladesh. He's an associate member of the ICAEW and a fellow member of ICAP. He holds an MBA from the University of Bradford, UK, one of the triple accredited business schools in the world. He's working as a partner of Huda Wasi Chaudhary and Company. Thank you very much. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Huda. Mr. Tariqul Islam, sorry. Next we have is Mr. Sujeev Rajpakse from Sri Lanka. He's a past president of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Sri Lanka, managing partner, BDO Sri Lanka and Maldives. He's a fellow of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Sri Lanka and a fellow of the Institute of Chartered Management Accountants of Sri Lanka. He holds an MBA from Postgraduate Institute of Management, University of Sri Jayawardene. Now, and the last but not the least, so thank you very much, Mr. Sujeev, for being part of this panel discussion. Next we have is Mr. Iftikhar Taj from Pakistan. He's a council member, a past vice president of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Pakistan. He's also director governance at CRO. Thank you very much, Iftikhar Taj Sahab. We have known you from a while, and thank you very much for taking time out for this panel discussion. So now, without any further delay, I'd like to begin my conversation with the CA Jay Chhera first. So we all know this, nobody knew about this pandemic. Nobody knew about the COVID-19. The world has changed so much. Everybody had those 2020 big plans, all those big corporations, targeting 2020, as a milestone. And all of a sudden, everything changed. Nothing is normal. So we're talking about a new normal as a normal thing. And I think it has had repercussions on everything. Almost every industry. Digitalization has taken a pace like anything in this world right now. So my first question would be, what do you think are the long-term ramifications or repercussions of COVID-19 on chartered accountancy as a profession? Because this profession definitely is not going to be out of the world is going to be within this world, and definitely it is going to get some sort of ramifications from this COVID-19. So how do you think it will transform our system, the way we operate as chartered accountants?
A very good evening to all of you. Thank you, Asninji, for inviting and a very good introduction. And I'm really very happy to be here in the panel of all my neighboring countries, all my dear friends. And a very interesting question to start with, what is going to be the ramifications? I always believe that the darkest hour is before the dawn. If there is an autumn, it indicates spring. When you are talking about your teacher, Sharif ji, then naturally you'll agree that whenever such type of disturbances are there, that actually shows the signal that opportunity is coming up the way. So the first thing that I'm looking at is that technology that we are not embracing for the last decade, we are only talking about, we have started using. For instance, all these technology platforms are available for last decade. We as leaders in respective countries and respective regions used to talk about technology. But how many conferences have we done on Zoom or Google Talk or so many? These days, on a daily basis, we have started all our affairs on such type of technology. The first thing is, we have started adopting the technology. That means the geographical barriers have gone away. The new opportunities that are going to come up in terms of systems. See, up till now, we into the accountancy profession, accountancy and audit, we were looking more at the opportunities in auditing. And particularly when we talk about our countries, we are more focused on MSME sectors, right? But now what is going to happen? Because of this technology acceptance, more and more work is going to flow in terms of systems, SOPs, cyber securities, even forensics. In the years to come, this is going to be the major area. And at the same time, because IFRS and all these things are going to provide us global opportunities, all the nations today accept that geographical barriers can be done away with. And when we talk about work from home, right, which can easily be blended with work from office. So in future, we are going to look at more and more corporates having a blend of both of this. That would mean the chartered accountants from smaller towns and medium towns are going to get more opportunities because the company will have a blend. Many of the companies in India, giants like Infosys and Wipro, they have declared that initially they will start with at least 25% of WFH, work from home concept. That means even smaller towns, talents can be easily attracted. This will be a win-win proposition for companies as well as the chartered accountants in various regions. And number of other opportunities in terms of disaster recovery plans, risk evaluation, risk profiling, liquid, and more particular for the next 2 years. You all will agree that liquidity crisis is being faced across the world because of this sudden pandemic. Everywhere the business has jeopardized and liquidity issues are going to be faced for next 2 years. So liquidity management and cost restructuring is also going to be one major area. I think the time has come up because of this geographical benefit. Say for instance in Pakistan, now it is very much possible that somebody from Lahore, somebody from Karachi and somebody from Rawalpindi can come together and create bigger firms. This will be the case with all other countries as we are nearly in the same economic environment. So I look at it as a very positive sign. This is definitely going to help those people who can derive the benefit from this situation.
I think that's very right, because we noticed that pre-pandemic times I used to ask clients to come on Zoom and talk to and have a meeting on Zoom, and they were never used to come. And now everybody is on Zoom, and I think that's the biggest positive that probably this pandemic has brought. So I'd like to move to Mr. Sharif Tabani now and ask the same question. How do you see this profession, chartered accountancy, changing and having, after this COVID-19, as the impact of, and the influence of technology has also increased, digitalization and the pace of technology has also increased, right, after COVID-19. So how do you see that?
Yeah, actually, as you have mentioned that when we were in 19 and proceeding towards 2020, no one was expecting this type of change. So overall, our profession has not seen and this change of the COVID has unprecedented and never experienced in our life. So no one was ready for this pandemic. This pandemic has actually sweeping the globe, leaving the impact on every phase of life. Either it is human behavior or it is economic decision, business and finance model. However, I must appreciate that not only the institutions, but the institutions across the globe have taken the initiative, and immediately you must appreciate that even our institute, that is Institute of Chartered Accountants Pakistan, has arranged so many webinars which were not expected even I think way forward after 5 years. This pandemic has given us so much opportunity to everyone, including the CAs. Now, what we have done, I think we have rightly reciprocated this change and the opportunity. If I talk about the institutions and the CAs, now right from the beginning, that is from admission process, the registration process, one of the challenge for the whole world was how to conduct the exams. Yes, conducting the classes was one of the issue, but we have handled this. But one of the major issue is how to conduct the exams. And you have seen, and everyone has seen, that the whole world, the professional institutions, there are few institutions. One is professional institutions and is academic. Professional institutions have not taken the lenient step. They have not compromised on the previous grades. What they have done is they have accepted the challenge and they have gone to the online and proctoring. And fortunately, the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Pakistan has conducted very successfully the AFC exams across the Pakistan. And this is that was one of the challenge. And what about our profession? Our profession has immediately switched over to work from home. Now all audits are being normally conducted from home. Now, what our students should do, what basic requirement for our students, how they should be equipped, that is more important. So I must request all the students, those who are listening this event, they must basic the softwares or the technology they have to learn. Number one is the data analytics. I think without data analytics, your core education will not serve the purpose. The RPA is now very, very popular, and in our region, this is gaining some memento. However, if you see the Western countries, the RPA is inevitable and is not something which is new now. ERP, definitely our student must have this flavor of ERP. Now, remote working capabilities. This is again very important, and we have to understand how to work and programs
Myself, there seems to be a distortion in your audio.
Like the ready available program is Excel. But if the situation is clear, then there are so many software houses, they are in a process of developing the. So I think we all have whatever is necessary. Okay, is this okay now?
Yeah, it's fine now. It's fine now.
Hello,
Yeah.
move it to another.
It's fine now.
Okay, so that is what this is from my side regarding this COVID situation.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think that's a very important point because, and I see a very surprising and astonishing fact here, because all of these things were available with us. You know, it's not something that probably in post-pandemic world we have been given some different kind of technology, or we have invented different things. Zoom was there, WebEx was there, and all those remote working opportunity was there. But somehow I think something changed, and that something is, you know, that situation, that extraordinary situation that was upon us. So I think that's something as humans we need to think that are we right now, you know, taking a hold of all the opportunities that are around us. So that's something that probably we need to think each and every day. So my next question would be again, you know, relating it to the same thing. And since CA Shera, you are actually you know, associated with professional development, I would to ask this question. What do you think? What new skills do you think we need to acquire in this world where we have all these things changing? What do you think? Now we have a different world and different context to actually deal with. So what advice would you like to give to students or professionals, young professionals? What skills do we need to actually take?
Hasnain, one good thing is that all these South Asian countries, it has been seen that they have better IQs and hardworking abilities than rest of the world. Of course, due respect to the entire world, but this is what generally is being talked in US also and Europe also. While I was in US and Europe, when I was studying, this was told by most of them that this is there. So now the thing is, where is the limitation? First is, which I think common, this is common for all our countries, global outlook. Global outlook. US people have a global outlook. I think the most important thing that we'll have to discuss with our generation is that, see, we have a very local outlook. We think about our city, what is going on nearby, or maximum about the country. We don't look beyond, most of in our cases. So global output, because now opportunities are going to come up. Second, of course, very rightly talked by Mr. Sharif, and that is data analytics or not technology that we are talking about. Now, along with the auditing standards, maybe the time has come up to look into Python and Java. So technology is another aspect that we look into. One very crucial thing is vision. See, our chartered accountants from these countries, they are mostly into proprietorship and small partnership. We do not come in a corporate way. We do not make big teams. So I think that vision of having big companies, having multi-locational offices and team building, this is something really very important that our youngsters will have to learn into. And the most crucial thing is we have to shift to value-added services rather than compliances. See, up till now, many of our chartered accountants are more and more into compliances. And friends, when technology comes up, you know, in compliances, there is not going to be growth in real sense. The growth will be only nominal, and that also would be linear. It would not beat inflation. If you really want to, you know, go beyond, exponential growth is what you are expecting, then you have to move towards value-added services. So for that thing, you know, business sense, we have to understand the 360 degree of the business. Up till now, our focus had been to some of the areas like taxation, audit, but understanding the 360 degree view of the business, observation, of course, common sense. These are some important things that you will look at it. I think the most important thing is vision. Visualizing yourself as a business consultant and as a global consultant would be the skills which I think youngsters must inculcate. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jay Shera. Now I'd like to have some questions from our audiences as well. So I'll encourage people to go on to our Facebook page, ICAP's Facebook page. Please type your questions over there, as well as you can also type your questions in the Zoom chat, Zoom session as well. This Q&A tab will help you write your questions down, and I will take these questions from you know, particular panelists that you want to ask these questions from. So now I'll move my conversation forward to another one of our other panelists, which is Yudh Raj Oli. With respect to students, I think the life has changed, or you know, they were not ready for the work from home. And I was looking at this Time magazine's headline, "The Great Work from Home Experience that experiment that the world has undergone. So I think what do you think? And I think the firms are actually expecting a lot from these students to adapt and in these times, because as people who are well into their profession, they are actually having these difficulties, to adapt to this work from home situation. Of course, we are not infrastructurally, we are not ready to adapt, this situation. So, what do you think? You're also associated with one of the firms in Nepal, and so what do you think is the expectation from the people who are doing articleship or training in your own region?
Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity to be here to share something. Good evening and namaste to all. So actually, we are in like a very difficult position, as the whole world is in the difficult position due to this pandemic. We are in like a crisis of the health as well as the financial crisis. So the global position also affects to our individual level, to our individual country, or to the individual firms. So what I came to learn now is, what I think is, whatever skill we have today may not be the skill for tomorrow. So whatever we were doing yesterday, or whatever we were planning yesterday before pandemic, we have to rethink on that, whether the same process or whether the same qualification, same knowledge, that will be useful for future or not. Even they may not be useful for today. So we should be like mentally prepared and focused on using technology. So in this regard, what we expect from our students or from our articles as being principle of some articles or practicing forms representation, or from our institute point of view. Now we have to be like very much familiar with technology. Now we should focus on the like blockchain. We have to focus on the cyber security. We have to focus on the data analytics. And even we should not forget the ethical standards in the digitalized economy. So what we expect from our articles or from our students, because the health is the most priority thing. So the first thing is, even if this is the new normal, what we expect is, even if they are feeling some problems or some like unhealthy type of situation, they should inform to their even colleagues or even offices, because that should be the first priority, so that others are not infected from their side. So that one, keeping that side of the health issues, what we expect is, like, we have flexibility in terms of the time or the schedule on working. So now the profession is focused from the 10 to 5 job to the like accountability or like a responsibility based profession. So we can work from anywhere. We can work from any location. So that is the advantage. So we should be like focused on like being familiar with this type of technology. Before, we were not using Zoom or Google Meet or this type of softwares for doing work, or even as earlier panelists said, when we would talk with our clients, okay, come on the Zoom so that we can save our time and finish the job or work on time. They were denying on this. We were preferring the physical meetings. Now, even in the audit, the substantive procedures, that is reduced, because in the pandemic situation, we have to analyze whether we can follow all the substantive procedures or not. So in case of Nepal or even internationally, we can see the lots of standards, like auditing standards in the pandemic situations. There we can see the advisory notes in this type of pandemic situations. So students or articles, they should go through this type of new like guidance, advisory notes, or like pandemic situations type. So what we should do is, like, we should be familiar with technology, as well as we should be familiar with the new guidelines or new advisory notes and the new standards issued by the institutes, not only in context of Nepal, but globally. So the cooperation from the student side or article side, and cooperation from the firm side, that is most important in this pandemic situation. And even I was joining this program from the beginning, and I heard two panelists, two speakers in the starting. Even I was learning some new things, how to save mind, or how to use the LinkedIn to to tell the world about what skill you have. So this type of platform, this type of virtual things, this type of new technology, that is, these opportunities are created by this pandemic. So even in the dark side, we can see some like brightness. So I request all of students, all articles, even all participants in this from this virtual platform to be familiar with technology, to be familiar with this all type of new standards, so that we can easily move ahead, and that will be like beneficial for firms as well as for the students. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Yud, for your response. I'd like to ask this question from Tariq. This question is, now the world has now moved, partially and on a lot of the equations completely. There are many organizations who are completely on work from home mode. Do you really think that work from home really works in this context? Because there are many people who believe that work from home is just a way to actually, it's just very inefficient, or there are people who have a completely different viewpoint about it. So what do you think? How has your experience been, and what do you make out of it?
All right, thank you. And my sincere apology to my internet is getting distracted. I'm sorry about that, and I'm just joining from my phone. So at the very outset, I must say I'm really delighted and honored to join you all here today and to answer your question. That's a very interesting bit, because you are saying, so does it really work when students are working from home? That's the question. So to be very honest, to be on neutral side, it does work in some cases and it doesn't work in some cases as well. There is a research from Washington University, and it says like 60% cases, so it will be working, and in 40% cases, it's not going to work. So it will be blamed actually. Then if someone works from home, it will be really difficult for the firms to monitor. Students need to be more ethically and morally sound, so that they can deliver work from home. Otherwise, it's really difficult to manage work from home. So it's a bit, I would say, more ethical stand size. Students have to be ethically sound, and other things you need to embrace. Oh, sorry about that. I'm just getting distracted every time.
No problem. Yeah.
So other thing is that we need to embrace the technology if we want to get the benefit out of it. Just few days back, I just presented a paper in the ICAP as well on the technology. We need to embrace the technology to get the benefit. You see, technology is evolving constantly, and it is affecting our life and livelihood. And we need to basically, because of artificial intelligence and for industrial revolution, technology is changing faster than any time ever. So if we really want to work, how does the work from home works, we need to embrace the technology. Yes, if we can embrace the technology, then definitely we can say like work from home works. Otherwise, it's going to be a troublesome thing.
I'd like to know more about, you talked about some research, 60% in 60% cases, it works, and in 40% cases, it does not work. Was there anything more about, in what situations it works, what are the factors probably, or something more detailed about in what cases does it work? Yeah.
Okay. You see, like in some cases, we need to do some work that can be done from remote places, but there will still be some work you need to do manually. You need to have the physical presence. As for example, if you want to deliver something, which needs your physical presence, you need to go there in person and you need to deliver that. So that's why it says it will never be possible to do everything, entire job through using the technology or whatsoever on remote place, but you need some sort of human interaction or human presence. That's why that research says it will be a blend of 60-40. Yeah.
All right. So I'd like to ask this question from Mr. Sujeev Rajpakse. In your experience, do you think that in your context, in your own firm and in your own organization, do you think work from home has really worked, and what challenges did you face in terms of that? I'd like to ask, yeah.
Yeah, thank you. It's great pleasure and privilege to get connected to especially young girls and boys. And also I must thank my own Institute of Chartered Accountants for the opportunity given. What we feel is, yes, this pandemic we never expected. It came without our knowledge. And the question is whether we were ready, whether we were ready to have that kind of operations. To tell you frankly, it was not. And as a result, I think there were so many issues in my own country, especially more than I running a audit firm here, BDO. Also, I'm a chairman of one of the largest commercial banks here in Sri Lanka. And I have the experience in the practice as well as the mercantile or the finance field. So it had been a major kind of issue to get everything put our act together. Especially like previous speakers said, the connectivity and the bandwidth and the speed and the availability of infrastructure and things like that has been an issue. Of course, in my practice, there are a software that we use for to carry out audits and things like that. Then any from anywhere in our country, we are able to the work even remotely. But the question here is, when you are going to work remote, sometimes there are the pluses and minuses. As the previous speaker said, when you want to have certain discussions and things like that, okay, you can still have it remote, but it may not be that effective like you are having physical meetings. So therefore, tendencies to always to have a physical meeting and physical presence and see eye to eye, and then have discussions. Of course, over a period of time, last couple of months, we have got used to to have remote kind of work and work from home. So it's getting used to that now in Sri Lanka. I think that's a good sign.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah, that's right.
That's great. So there's one question here, and I'd like to take this question from Mr. Iftihar here. There are people who are saying, as Mr. Jay said, there are lots of opportunities that are coming our way after COVID-19 as well, not just threats, but there is one question coming from our audience, and they're saying that there are lot many firms, there are lot many organizations firing people out because of these troubling times. And so how do you think that in these times it's very important for us to stay positive? How do you think in these times we are going to cope up with with this troubling situation that people are firing, and how would we able to see this opportunity that CA Shara is mentioning? How do you think we are going to be coping up with the situation?
Opportunities, yes, those are always there, and those were always there. Pre-pandemic, those were there. Today, these are there, and tomorrow there will be many opportunities. But we need to understand what are the opportunities. Like I give you one very simple example. You are doing this CASA conference. 5 countries are connected to each other. But did we really reach to 5 countries' students so that they can join the conference? I don't think so. Because of the number, there are very few students and they are only from Pakistan. So those are opportunities. We need to identify all those opportunities. Same is here. It's not about technology. It's not about Zoom or Skype or anything. It's about creating value for the business. We need to have a mindset to create value. If we can create value, we are loved by others. We are paid by others. If we do not create value, only compliance is nothing nowadays. We need to create value. We need to give something extra, say 5-10% extra, whatever we are expected to deliver. And that is the mindset we need to have. For students, I generally say that students are carrying many brands. One brand is their family brand. That what is the culture and values of their own family? And what is the brand value and their expectation from their firm? And they are also carrying the brand of their own institute. Are we really aware of it? That we are to deliver something. We are no more a full-time student who are going to classes, attending classes, appearing in exams and things like that. Now they are professional students who are having professional training as well. Same goes. Yes, there are scenarios. Many firms, they reduce number of employees. I think that has nothing to do with students directly. And number two, while recruiting the students, they have reduced their number for many reasons. Generally, the cash flows are not that great of the firms, and cash flows of the businesses are very much relevant for taking number of students and the volume of work they need to deliver to clients. That's much more important, but this is temporary phase. You know, the most important thing, and I think that is the best part of this pandemic, as far as our profession is concerned, leaving aside all others, that now businesses understand who are the people they can rely upon during these times, during tough times, who can deliver value to their business, who are the people they can rely for security. It's not only cyber security, it's the data security. Who can they trust now? And that is the best part around the world. The chartered accountants are the ones who can deliver value. A few months back, we were having a technology conference in Lahore. I was sitting with chairman of a group, large group, and we were talking about data analytics and all. I asked him a very simple question, that who is the guy you will trust for your data? Because first you have to give the data and then you will have the data analytics. So who can be the custodian of your data? Is it the CIO, Chief Information Officer, Chief Technical Officer, or someone else? On purpose, I said someone else. And he said, I would trust CFO, CFO, and CFO. Because they understand the data and they have their own value to protect the data and yet analyze it. So it is the change of mindset. We need to realize it. These are the values, these are the expectations we have been asking students, that you should be doing this. This is expected from you. We need to understand now. This is very, very important. And to all the students, I like to address one thing. If in firms, if you see any job in charge who is going for big clients, what kind of team composition he has. He will always have a team member who is positive, who is willing to deliver value, and who is a team member. And team member is not just a group member. Team member means we can equally trust that member in the team. That's much more important than being a group member. So we need to change our mindset because of pandemic now. It is the realization, it is the opportunity to realize all this. Are we creating value? That's important, not only with reference to assurance, but in the top line, bottom, and middle. If we are creating value, we are loved by all. If we are not creating value, whatever qualification we have, that does not create value. Qualification empowers us to create value. And I think that is the direction we need to take all. And that is the way forward, in my opinion.
That's a very, very important point, Mr. Iftikhar, that we have raised, creating value. And I think that was something that probably somebody in the initial, I think Nidhi also said at the start, that we need to create value. We need to be more than compliance-based professionals. So I think a very logical question here would be, so what's a specific thing, and I'd like to ask this question from you, Mr. Iftikhar, because you have raised this very, very, very important point. What is specific things do you think that we as professionals need to do, to manifest, to demonstrate, so that, for example, I see one thing as, people with sense of responsibility is one thing that probably I feel that could create value. People who can do the task and, complete the task, to the best of their abilities. So I think, and what do you think is what we need to think about when we think about creation of value, when we think about us as individuals, as being part of organizations, creating value, because it's not that we as individuals are judging them, that are they being loyal to us, they are also judging us that, you know, whether we as individuals being part of the organizations are also loyal to, you know, to them as well. So what do you think value creation means specifically in demonstration for students?
For students, it's very important if they analyze their 8 hours of working, that how many hours they were actually doing work, effective work, number one. Number two, did they learn something new today to apply today? Number three,
excellent.
Whatever is expected from them, did they study for that purpose last evening so that they can deliver today in a better way? Number four, are they delivering at least 5-10% more than the expectation?
Excellent, wonderful.
Are they considering themselves to be good professional? Mindset, I always talk about it. It's a mindset. We need to change our mindset. That's much more important. And the other question you were asking about work from home. You know the real difficulty in work from home? It's not about the technology available at home. It's not about the space available at home. But as employers, we do not know the art of measuring the performance output. We all are used to one thing, that the guy should be 8 hours in our office.
Yeah.
In-person presence. We never measure the outperformance. What is
we
the
don't even know whether the person is using Facebook or what, but we just want them to sit with us. Yeah, all the time.
Our next seminar should be on the output measurement. That's much more important. Why we need to monitor them all the time?
But it's very difficult. I think that's a very novel idea for people because generally, as Jay said, we are not thinking firms as corporate global organizations, because when we bring these big fours and big tens and all these big firms to our own region, we don't become like them. We make them like us, you know. So yeah. we actually our culture is actually dominating those international firms, and I think we don't see their culture in our region. We see our culture, and they assimilating with us. So how do you think, Jay? This is a very novel idea, I think. So how do you think, Jay, this idea would work? Do you think in these firms would be able to adapt this idea that we need to trust our trainees, we need to trust our students, we need to trust our employees, and you don't need to be here all the time. All you need is just deliver your work, achieve your objectives. Do you think that is going to be a reality in our region?
Once again, a very interesting question, and I think Mr. Iftikhar spoke very well on this particular aspect. See, the change in mindset from both the sides are required. Both the sides, employer as well as employee. First and foremost thing is we have to develop the systems. Systems must be in place, right, for measuring the output or performance as spoken by Mr. Iftikhar. Very important. It is not the hours which are important. It is the work done which is important. That means comes the another issue, flexi working. Flexi working. Very rightly so told by you that we are very huge influencers, right? We don't get influenced by them. We influence them. So, how do we do that? You cannot immediately straight away jump to that system. If the employers directly go to that, then I think it is going to be a failure. But over a period of 2 to 3 years, slowly and gradually, first and foremost thing is an environment of trust has to be created. A trust between both the parties, employer and employee. So here, we are not only going to talk about ethics which are written in the books, right? Beyond the books, the ethics. See, it is said that life is an echo. Whatever you give comes back.
Right, comes back,
right?
Yeah.
I must be meeting you for the first time. But if I am very happy looking at you, then naturally, I am going to transmit those vibrations to you. You will also be happy looking at me. So I think if both the parties
received all the vibes.
Yeah.
Right. So both the parties, I think particularly, during articleship period, this is what I convey always to the employers as well as the article assistants. I tell the article assistants that, you have to understand that your boss is the source of knowledge. And at the same time, I tell the bosses that the article who is coming to you he is the future of the profession and your nation. So when you look at it differently, when you synergize that, when you create the trust, that is the first thing. Second, the system of HR, whereby, you have a system that when you have a team of 20, how to allocate the work amongst these people in a fair way. Because very rightly talked by Mr. Iftikhar, that how do you measure the performance, the output? So maybe there is a lopsided attitude. A few people are getting more work, a few are not getting it. At the same time, in terms of quality also. If you would first focus on that, if a firm would focus more on that, then if there is a team of 20, whether there is equitable distribution of work, also at the same time, is there a learning opportunity? And of course, in future, when it comes to employment, do you have the career progression for your team, a career ascent, a proper plan for them to grow? If that is going to be there, then I think over a period of time, the culture will change. And employees also will respond it very fairly. And at the same time, you require some softwares and technology also. I'll give an example. In India, during this pandemic situation, because conducting the examinations and at the same time now checking. Now the checkers are not going to come physically. So we have converted everything online checking. So we have put the checks and balances. The face recognition software is already in place so that the same checker is there. Not only that, the software keeps on checking time to time how much time has been taken by this checker for this question. Number of checks and balances are there. Thereby, this is one of the solutions even for work from home. One of the solutions that there are, checks and balances in the software itself. So it is going to be a combined thing. One is regarding the trust factor, another is the technology. If both the things are in place from both the sides, then I think it will work. Of course, Rome was not built in a day, as we say. It will take some time. We are addicted to our way of working. So slowly and gradually, if efforts are made, but effort has to first start from top. Culture flows top bottom. I think that's the answer I would give.
That's very right. I think pre-pandemic times, people had to trust, and they had no actually compulsion to trust. But I think in post-pandemic times, people had to trust because there was no option because of lockdowns in our countries. I think Pakistan is now coming out of lockdown. I think India right now is. We pray that we hope that all our regional countries and all over the world, humanity comes out of this crisis. It's a big crisis for all of us. And we really pray and for the lives of the people who have lost, and we want everyone to be safe and healthy. So I think in the pandemic times, organization had no option but to trust our employees. And I think, and in this experiment, they were able to find out, that who are their loyal employees, who are their trustworthy employees, who are the people who are or who are those students who are actually capable of controlling their own nerves and deliver in those times, in those difficult times. Because of course, it was not very easy for everyone to come out of those situations. Now, my next question would be from Mr. Sharif Tabani. This question is basically, I want to give some advice to our fresh qualified CAs. What do you think we should do? Those 4 or 5 steps that we should do in these things. And this is one of the questions that we have come from our Facebook page as well. So what do you think our fresh qualified CAs would do? Because right now they are struggling because firms and companies have stopped hiring or probably halted their hiring, or it has slowed down at least. So what do you think we should do in these times? What do you think? Hello, Mr. Sharif Saibani, can you hear me?
Sorry. Now, can you hear me?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Are you talking about those who have just completed their intermediate, or those who are qualified?
The qualified, the people who have qualified.
Those who have qualified their CA.
Yeah. fresh qualified CAs. Yeah.
Okay. Actually, actually, those who have qualified, in my personal opinion, they have to now, after the post pandemic situation, they have to learn those out of box technologies, and without those technologies they'll not be able to survive. Now the companies are all switching over to technologies, and unfortunately you have observed in our curriculum those technological area is not covered properly in our profession. So like for example, artificial intelligence is not our, for the time being, is not our part of the syllabus. So those students, those who have qualified or those who are just qualifying, they must go through with those technological skills like artificial intelligence, big data. For example, I met with one of the banker who told me that whenever this student, either qualified or unqualified, those who have done big data and data analytics, just send me, I'll give them double pay than the normal pay, even more than the qualified person. So student must learn the big data and data analytics. Accordingly, robotics is one of the area which they have to. So if you will be able to give the or help the companies to exploit those technologies, then you will be having a better chance to be inducted. Like I, when I was conducting a session, I invited one of the CFO, and he told me that while they were finalizing, they selected almost 10 members, those who were qualified, but they were looking for only 2 members, 2 staff. So they set another filter, and that filter was those who know the ERP, then they'll be taken as a priority. So they selected, when they set this filter, so they find out 2 people. So out of 10 qualified members, they selected 2 people based on the ERP. So if you learn those technologies, then you have a better chance to be inducted. And if you'll not be going for that, yes, ethical values, your core values, the IFRSs that you have learned. But I think under given circumstances, those are not more than 50% of what it is required. So you must be ready for those technological skills which are already there, and you have to look into those technologies which are on the way shortly. Thank you.
All right. I think this is going to be a very useful answer for all those people who are going into industry or staying in the firm after their CAs. I'll ask this question from Mr. Sujeev as well. But before that, we have a poll. We did a poll, and the results are quite the expected. I think in the post-pandemic world is going to bring more positives than negatives in CA profession as a whole. So 82% says it is going to bring more positives. So they are more positive about it. But there are 19% people, or roughly about 20% people who are thinking that no, this is going to bring more negatives than positives, or less positives than negatives. And the next question was, do you fear that technology will outpace your skill set? So 30% people fear, they really fear that the technology is going to outpace them as professionals, and or their skill set. And 73% of the people said technology is not going to outpace their skill set. They have that skill set, or probably they will be able to develop those skill set probably in the given times. So I think how do you see this fear, Mr. Sujeev? I'd like to ask this question. How do you see this fear? This is a fear that we have as professionals. 30% of people says, technology is going to outpace our skill set. So, how to deal with this fear, what to do about it? Can you tell us something about it?
You see, Hasnain, it's very important now that CA is, his role has become so indispensable now, especially in the present context. I have seen in my, the last 6 months, let us say whether it is a practice or the industry, we have basically, predominantly, we have been a number crunching people. So when you say chartered accountant, but now we need to understand that chartered accountants should wear different hats. It's not only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There may be about 10 or 15 hats. Why do I say that? We all need to have soft skills, which is sometimes lacking in us. Because now when you say soft skills, there are so many sets of skills that we should have other than our hard skills, what we learn through, our lectures and taking part in various other events like auditing standard, accounting standard, companies act, and various other things. And also you need to, certainly you need to become an entrepreneur. You need to look at from the other side, how entrepreneur at this moment behave, which is important. And you also need to become a strategist, because the entrepreneur or the client that you are working for or the employer that you are working for they are expecting your support, they are expecting your guidance, they are expecting your counseling basically, which is absolutely important. And need to become a business manager kind of a person, that who is going to be with your client or the employer, because that is important. Why do I say that? Because situation is changing every other day, because there are a large amount of large corporates have gone down the drain within a week or 2 times. So then how do we behave? Your stress management is important, and you need to become a mentor, because you end of the day walk the talk is important. Because now if it is your own finance sphere, because your finance team or the entire organization is looking at you, how would you behave? Sometimes the employees may not listen to the employer or the entrepreneur, but obviously they will want to listen to the finance guy, finance head. What's going to happen to my institution? Will there be a job security tomorrow? So that kind of. So as a result, I believe that the accountants, chartered accountants especially, which is a noble profession according to my knowledge, will have to play so many roles. The question is whether we play that role. But for me, I've seen that very few people are equipped with so-called interpersonal or the soft skills in our own, the chartered accountants community. So therefore, I think this is very important at this moment. Our role has become so indispensable. This is the time that we have to show our competencies. This is the time that we need to help our employers if you are an employee. So then they will be very happy, because the first I think we started with talking about the adding value. So because there must be some value addition at this moment to make sure that we again become indispensable people.
Thank you very much, Suji, for this wonderful insight. I'd like to conclude this session on this note that we need to adapt. Adaptation is very important, and for that we need to actually look out for all those skills that we need. And I think in these different times we need to have a skill that how can we build trust with our employers? How can we build trust with our peers? How can we actually add more value to our own selves, competencies to our own selves, and thereby transfer those competencies to the organization's vision, mission, and objective. So with this, I thank all of our panelists, all of our distinguished guests. I once again thank you all for taking time out for our students and for our young members who are listening to us on our Facebook page and Zoom. Thank you very much. I think it's a pleasure having you all. We have learned a lot from your insights. Especially, I think everyone, Mr. Iftikhar, Mr. Yud, Mr. Suji, Mr. Jay, Mr. Bani, Mr. Tariq, everybody. So thank you very much, and we pray that we come out of this pandemic very soon and get back to our normal with the benefits of the COVID-19 or the positives of the COVID-19 actually, especially. Thank you very much. Over to you, Mr. Ida.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Hasnain. My video is actually not starting right now. but that's okay. I'm still going to introduce the next speaker and figure this thing out. So we do talk about the student life quite a lot, but the thing, here we go. So, but the thing is, we never really talk about the transition from being a student to an employee, or from a trainee to an employee. When we enter the real world, what are the challenges that we're going to face, and what should we do right now to kind of make sure that that time becomes easier for us. So just to do that, we have a very special guest with us. He is currently working as the CFO in Shield Corporation, and he is also a motivational speaker, a proficient coach, and a corporate trainer. He's the founding president of the CA Toastmasters Club Karachi and was the second place winner of the International Video Speech Contest. Today, he'll be speaking on the topic Zero to Hero, and I'm actually very excited to hear his thoughts on it. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Zaid Kalia.
Am I audible? Okay. Respected students, honorable guests and dignitaries. Once upon a time, there was a commander. His name was Alex, and he has a very big dream in his mind. He wanted to conquer this world. There are a number of people who had this dream. Many of them tried to achieve that dream, but few of them achieved that dream, and rest of them died in the line of duty. So Alex was very ambitious about his dream, and he has gathered 50,000 troops to march towards another country, and this time it was Persia. Persia has 200,000 troops, highly trained, qualified, and experienced army, and he was facing a real challenge how to win this battle, because without winning this battle, he won't be able to fulfill his dream. On the other hand, the Persian king was very clever. He captured his soldiers, tortured them, given third-degree torture. As a result, they spelled out the secret. And the king was very happy that we know the secret and we will be able to defeat Alexander. And I will be hero and he will be zero. So he was very happy, and he knew that Alex is planning to attack in night. So he ordered his troops to be alert and be active and repel anyone attacking from any side. So let's hear what Alex is planning and what is his strategy and what he wants to do in this battle. So he gathered his troop, gave a very brief motivational talk, and asked them to go to sleep, have a rest, except for 5% of his army. He made few groups of his army and ordered them to attack the Persian army from various locations and various directions. As a result, the Persian army, yes, they have confidence in their king, that our king was right, that Alex will attack in night. So they fought very efficiently and repelled the attacks. Next day, in the morning, the Persian army was tired. They were facing fatigue. Whereas Alex and his army were fresh and they were electrified, energized, and because they have taken rest. So Alex knew that I cannot defeat a well-trained army without deploying my strategy. So his strategy was how I can reach to the linchpin, the Persian king, and make him fled the battlefield or kill him. So he attacked from 3 sides, and he gathered a few highly trained professionals, I mean warriors, with him, and he he succeeded in crossing the first defense line, then second defense line, and reached to the king. King also fighting furiously, and he was very much energetic. But as as Alex's army gathered him and put the pressure on the king, the battle was over, because the king has a fear of his life. And remember, whenever we have a fear in our mind, that moment we lose the battlefield, we lose our exams, we lose our jobs, we lose our business. Same was going in the Persian king's mind. He lost the battle in his minefield. So he fled the scene, and as a result, when his commanders looked at their boss, that he is not in the office, I mean in the battlefield, they also lost hope and they also fled. So in this way, Alex conquered Persia, the Alexander the Great, as known as in the history book, and it was 331 BC. So what's the point of telling this story? This story reveals us, if we want to achieve something in our life, first of all, we need to have a clear goal of our life in our mind. What is our goal? So to become a hero, so whenever I say to become a hero, I will pause for a few seconds so that you can also repeat this sentence in your mind, so that your mind can rewire itself and you can understand what you have to become, what you have to do to become a hero. To become a hero, first of all, we need to have a big vision. Okay, if you don't want to have a big vision, have a small vision, but you should have a clear vision, whether it is big or small. If you have a clear vision, you will be able to reach it, you will be able to achieve it, and you can deploy different types of strategies. So if you don't have any vision, so then what you will do? You will sometimes follow to become this qualification and sometimes that qualification. You will try to achieve one skill set, unrelated second skill set, and other things. So the important thing is, if you want to become a hero, first of all, you need to have a clear goal in your mind, clear vision. Find out your biggest why. Find out what you want to do with this life. So you will face many challenges. If you're a student, you can face failure in exam. If you're qualified, you may feel that you are not getting your dream job. If you're employed, you may be laid off. If you're doing business, business can go down with the COVID, and many things can happen. Uncertainty is everywhere due to COVID, and anything which is bigger than COVID can come in this world and shatter our certain things and our dreams and our way of thinking. So in this way, if you have a big vision and clear vision, or small vision and clear vision, you will be able to deploy different strategies. You can maneuver whatever you want to do so that you can achieve your goals. To become a hero, yes, I'm giving you time. You can repeat. To become a hero, believe in yourself. Condition your brain with 3 magical words. Never give up. So if you want to win the battle, you have to win it in your mind. So never give up. Yes, you can change your field if you want to. You can change your strategy, but the real thing is that you don't give up on things. If you give up, you will be demotivated and you will be shattered, and you cannot come back when you fall down. So if you want to be resilient, never give up. This is the strategy, and this is the mantra to achieve it. To become hero, yes, repeat after me. To become a hero, you focus on your studies, and this is for students as well as professionals. But change the perspective of acquiring the studies or pursuing the studies. In this world right now, everything is marketable. Think about this perspective that whatever you're learning in your studies, can I sell this product? If you know how to prepare financial statements, how I can sell this product in this world. So if you want to become a seller or if you want to become a teacher, then you will understand better that subject. So my advice is, if you are pursuing your studies, just twist your perspective and have that perspective that you have to sell that knowledge and you have to sell that skill to the world. To become a hero, learn one skill a year at least. We have discussed a lot of skills in previous panel discussion, and I'm glad that esteemed panelists have guided students to latest skills which are very important for the CA students and also other professionals. So my advice to all of you, and first to me, that learn at least one skill and master it so that you can use that skill for your job, for your career, for your business. So if I have a chance to redo my life, I would like myself to acquire at least one skill each year I pass in this world. So there are a number of skills. Few skills I would like to mention. Communication skills. You can learn these skills because the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Pakistan has 6 CA Toastmasters clubs to serve you. And you can acquire this communication and public speaking skills, which can really help you in your career. Learn latest technology or data analytics, which is the buzzword and very important for future, and try to learn it. Strategy formulation and implementation is also very key area. How you can plan out your strategy in uncertain time, how you will be implementing it. So if you have that skill, you are hero. One more skill which I think is very important for finance professional is selling skill. Yes, selling is different from finance and accounting and its job of salesperson, but selling skill, if we have that skill, we can land it to our dream job and we can reach to our highest potential. We can have more clients for our business and our business can grow and you can climb the ladder, because if you are bringing business, you will get promotion and you can reach to CFO and ultimately CEO level. Again, one more skill which I would like you to think about is digital marketing skill. It is also very, very important in nowadays. You can reach out to your customers by sitting on your laptop. So why not we learn these skills with the finance and finance expertise and our rigorous training, and then we have these skill sets, then no one can beat you. You will be surely a hero. So whenever I talk about acquiring a skill set, the question is, who will pay for it? Yes, many organizations consider investing in their employees and their trainings, but most of the organization don't bother about it. It is you have to take the step. You have to invest your money, your income on acquiring new skills. So if nobody is spending on you, you have to spend it, because it is like an oxygen for us to succeed in future. to secure your future, you have to invest now. And this is the biggest investment. You will invest now, so you will reap the benefit in future. So I was conducting a training session, and I asked the participant that let's evaluate 24 hours of our life, and let's see how much time we used to misutilize or we waste in our life. And I was astonished by the reply. And that reply was 3 hours. 3 hours uh, on average basis, our participants were not utilizing. And if you consider 3 hours, it becomes more than 1,000 hours a year, which is more than enough to master a skill set, which is more than enough for reading 100 books, and which is enough to master your subject, and you can become a master of subject, and you can also go through your curriculum and you can use it and utilize it to pass your exam. But this was different participants. So if we consider our esteemed participants of this conference, let's say if we are not utilizing properly 1 hour, it can also do magic for you. So consider it. Maybe you are utilizing 24 hours well organized, but if you are not using it, it's high time to see where are the gaps, where are the leakages, and you can put that time into acquiring new skills, into reading books, and so on and so forth. So what happened that few months back, I received a call from a Toastmaster. He's a young guy. He's doing A-levels. So he wants to discuss his career. So he arranged a meeting with me. I thought it will take 15 minutes, but it took 60 minutes because he has very clear vision. He he was inspired by the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And he wanted to know how he can make his money work for him instead of working himself for the money. So if you read more books, you will get more ideas how to utilize your time, how to acquire different skill sets, and what are the skills which can really benefit you in the future. So to become hero, just repeat after me. Work on your personal brand. Learn how you can leverage social media, and you can be seen as a prominent finance professional. One of our speakers today rightly guided you how to use LinkedIn, and as a professional and a student, there's a great opportunity in this area. So learn it. There are a number of YouTube videos how to use LinkedIn properly. Why not invest your time when you don't have to invest your money, and make your profile a strong profile so that recruiter can hire you by looking at your profile. Instead of sending CVs, it's a better option that your profile is such that people come at you and asking for you, are you open for opportunities or not? It doesn't mean that you don't apply for any job or so, but it is two-way process. Yes, if there is a job, apply for it, but making your profile strong will lead you to better and more opportunities. So ladies and gentlemen, a year ago, I was in a skating park with my kids. So in that park, boys and girls were enjoying skating, and my kids were also playing there. So I saw a boy. He was trying to be ready for skating. So I thought that he is learning how to skate. So he was wearing skating shoes. He put in ankle guard, knee guard, and he was wearing helmet. So when he took the first step, oh my God, he fell down. He looked around, nobody was there to help him. His parents were not there, and nobody was looking at him that one person or kid has fallen down, let's help him out. But the other moment, he looked here and there, he gathered his strength, and he stood up again. He took the second step. Again, he fell down. And I thought and said to myself that he won't be able to learn skating if he carry on this journey. Few months after, I again visited that park. And by so he need more attention, more care to achieve his targets. So what happens that he was ready to ride and he took the first step and I closed my eyes. And then I started looking at him slowly. And to my surprise, he was skating very well. He completed one lap and second lap and he was not falling down. So I met his parents and asked what happened, how he was able to achieve his target and how he was able to do that. So they told me that it is his willpower. He has done it with his willpower, and he has shattered my wrong belief that he could not be able to learn skating by showing his willpower. So for me and you, this is the strong message that we all can achieve our goals. We all can become successful. We all can become hero if we have that willpower in our mind. So use that willpower, invest on your brand, have a big vision and goal, learn new skills, and never give up, and you will be hero. So the most important thing is that if you are not willing to take up challenges, you have accepted the defeat. And if you have accepted the defeat, someone else will go and win. So over to you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Zaid. That's actually a very powerful message. Of course, all of us can achieve our goals. We just need the vision and the willpower to do it. Thank you for that wonderful message. Now, moving on. So what is a students' conference without some student participation, right? So we also have a student panel discussion lined up where we have panelists from different countries as well. I want everybody to please put on their video so I can see you. All the student panelists, please. Okay, so this, I'm just going to explain what the topic is about, and then I'll ask everybody to just introduce themselves. Basically, I wanted the student panel discussion to be on a lighter tone while keeping the theme intact. So I thought, why not talk about staying true to yourself? Because the thing is that during our CA life, it gets so chaotic that we sometimes forget about what's really important and what's really our goal, and we just try and follow what everybody else is doing. But the thing is, success isn't about being just like everybody else in the room, but it's about introspecting and finding out what makes you special and adding value through that. So here we're going to talk about different scenarios which may occur in the CA journey of a student, and hear from different perspectives from different countries. And I hope that everybody else can relate to it. I really try to make the questions relatable. So let's go on to the introductions, because this is your moment. I am not going to talk that much. This is all on the speakers. Starting from the youngest in the lot, Sophia.
Namaste from Nepal, and good evening, everyone. This is Ms. Sophia Shrestha, a CAP 3 student representative from the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nepal, ICAP. So staying true to yourself, it means you won't let others define you or choose for you. And you are yourself capable of making choices for you. And the decision does not have to be the right one, but you are aware of the consequences it will have and is able to take the responsibility for it. And no matter even if the world will end or even if the world is ending, you won't let the outside force destroy your inner peace. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. Okay, next up we have Safa.
Assalamualaikum everybody. I am Safa, a representative of the Institute of Chartered Accountants in Pakistan. I just recently qualified my chartered accountancy, and I am on my way to completion of my articles. Thank you for inviting me, Rida, at the CASA conference.
Okay, next up we have Nitin. Yeah.
This is Nitin Lalwani from India. First of all, I would like to express my gratitude on behalf of Chartered Accountants of India that we have been invited here for extending the invitation, and we are truly grateful, and I'm really glad to be here. As for the theme of the topic, I personally feel that we as individuals, as humans, we are the experiences we live, the stories we hear, and the places we visit. We are truly what we uh, think, act, and speak. But it is not these experiences or this individuality that sort of differentiates us, but it is the commonness from those learnings that truly binds us all together. So we're really looking forward to those sort of experiences and lessons here.
And next up we have Nimmat. Thank you so much for that, Nitin.
Okay, so my cordial greetings to you all. Actually, this is Nimad Zareen. I'm representing the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Bangladesh. First and foremost, I'd like to thank the Institute and the student body of Pakistan, Chartered Accountancy, for hosting this event in this global crisis condition. And it is an opportunity and privilege for us to be aware from the professional bodies and the members how they are actually rising themselves in this condition, because we all need to know about it. And it's an honor to speak up on the issue, that how we can actually raise concern and how you can cope up with the situation. Thank you for the opportunity.
Last but not the least, we have Malshi from Sri Lanka.
Everyone, and I'm Archie. Can you hear? I'm Archie from Sri Lanka, and I'm representing Institute of Chartered Accountants of Sri Lanka, and I'm a member of our Student Society of Sri Lanka. And to talk about the theme, thinking to yourself, I'd like to talk about the passion and the extracurricular things that we do, and how we are going to lead about in our career, about our professional activities, and how can we leverage all of those things to lead in our professional life. Thank you. On to you, Sarah.
Okay, now I want to move on to the question and answers that we have. So first of all, I want to ask Nimmat that, during the CA life, again, like I mentioned before, we get so busy in our classes and our work that we just forget to take care of ourselves and forget to kind of do the extracurricular activities that we once loved. So I know you are someone who is involved in a lot of different activities. Tell me, how do you manage to do all that, and what message would you give to the students listening?
Actually, like any other professional life, in our life of a chartered accountant, we have to always balance out the stress of the studies and the academic exams with your professional full-time job. The pressure is always there, but as you already are aware of your circumstances that you're going to face, you have to always prepare yourself, discipline yourself, and make sure that you don't get lost in the essence of this entire situation. You have to always put forth the best of you in this working environment, in the exams, everywhere you go through. So if you want to put productivity and efficiency in your life, you must realize that the essence you're hiding or you're forgetting, that actually identify you in the world. So extracurriculum activities, personally, it has become my regular activities throughout my entire life. I have done classical dancing since I was 4 years old. Then I have added on singing, judo, lots of other playing games and activities. So this is something that actually pushed me throughout my stress and energize me for the next day work. So I know it's going to be very hard. It sounds impossible, but something impossible is something that's not in my dictionary. So you have to just do it, and action always speaks louder than your words. So when you start working on it, your will take you further, because if there is a will, there is a way. You will find the way. So I will ask all the professions, also the members and the students, all of them, don't forget yourself, don't forget your identity, and put forth your activities that actually encourages you to do your regular jobs more efficiently. Thank you.
That. again, we also have a panelist, Malshi from Sri Lanka, who's also involved in a lot of student activities over there. So I kind of want her to share her perspective on the same question, so that people can know how you can balance all these things in your life and not compromise on anyone. Malshi.
Yes, Aida, to talk about that. So, when you are working on something, so it is not going to come to all the other things that you do. So I'm a student now, working on university as well as on my classes and also many other extracurricular activities that I do. So when I do all these things, it does not affect to one part of mine. So I think everyone should give their first attempt on reaching something because on my personal experience, yeah, I have friends who ask me to join the various clubs that I do, and they be like, when I say, oh, yeah, you're welcome, and they be like, okay, after my CA exam, after university exam, so they be on procrastination too. So I think everyone should give their first try because that is the hardest thing to do. And if you are on that path, then everyone, the whole network around you, going to support you, including your parents and your even your organization, your university. Everyone around you is going to support you. So you should not take it as a burden to your life, but if you are treating it as a self-care, if you are treating it as a passion, so it makes your life easy and to work on many other things that you do. That's what I do currently with all the activities I'm doing. Good to you.
Thank you for that. I really like that you said, you need to start and not procrastinate. Once you start, people will start supporting you. That's really nice. And I really do believe that. It's the same experience here as well. Okay, my next question is to Sophia. She is new into the firm. It's just been 6 months, I think, right? So she's had her interview recently. So my question to you is, yeah, in an interview, sometimes you are faced with difficult questions, and at that time, you don't really know how you can, stay true to yourself. You can either say something that the interviewer would want to hear, but then you're not really being true. So tell me about a situation that happened to you, and how did you handle it? How did it turn out?
Okay, first of all, thank you for the question, Rida. And I would like to share one of my articleship interviews I had recently after passing my CAP 2 level, and that's intermediate level of CA in Nepal. And that was my first job kind of interview of my life. So it was all going okay until the interviewer asked me, can you work under the pressure you are going to have at the end of every financial years, the outstations and whatnot? And you might even have to work from 6 a.m. in the morning to 9 p.m. or the whole day and the night. And maybe I was supposed to say, yes, I can, like the most expected answer. But for me, who had never worked my whole life except for my studies and grades, I replied, I don't know yet if I will actually be able to handle the stress that's coming. But from the past experiences I have had, I'm a person who loves to accept challenges and someone who never give up easily. So I will try my best, whatever it takes to stay who I am and I will try to complete all of my responsibilities. And yeah, where there is a challenge, there is an opportunity to rise again from the ashes as much stronger than ever. And where there is an opportunity, there is a challenge, of course. And the interviewer then said, come join from Sunday. And I got the articleship, and that's where I'm working right now. Thank you.
That's really wonderful. So I like the part where you said, I don't know right now, but I'm willing to learn and I'm willing to, face the challenge. That's what the attitude we need to have. So thank you.
And
okay.
My again is to adapt into the work life from my study life. That's what gets me in the form.
That's great, really. So my next question is from Nitin. Now he is somebody who likes to take initiative in the work he does, and as far as I know, and also he's also new in the firm. So my question to you is that tell me about a time you worked on something that was kind of in an unconventional way, different from how it was done before, and it turned out to be a success. How did you cope with that?
Hi, Ritu. Thanks a lot for your question. But when you ask me specifically the unconventional way, I would rather say there's nothing out of the box or path breaking that I've done in my journey. But yeah, definitely. Now, unconventional is definitely the fact that all of us are living in this unprecedented times of COVID and the pandemic. So I would like to share one of the experiences of that. And when we had to move from the entire office-based work to work from home, where the real becomes the virtual and the virtual becomes the real. I think the biggest realization that I had is that we don't need to change what and why we do something. We need to really change how we do it. And the essence of it while working in team is team management and team bonding. So I think when we as professionals deliver to our clients, in the past 6 months, this has been my very personal experience that it's only the team bonding and the team building that has helped us deliver to the best of our abilities. Although there were hindrances, but again, as Sophia mentioned, that every challenge brings with it opportunities, right? Also, while we are still at the topic, I just want to mention a couple of things here that uh, might not be unconventional, but definitely are underrated in our professional CA trainees. And the first of them is something that's very close to me, as you mentioned, is initiative. So I think not just initiative, but rather owning up to our own work, even as CA trainees, is what is essential. So when I say it means that we need to be responsible for what we do. And for this responsibility, there needs to be a blend of independence in our research as well as responsibility, while we need to still have interdependence with our team in terms of collaboration and the entire development. So, for example, just to give a very personal example, there was this one engagement which was, since I was new to the firm, I was not given a lot of responsibilities initially because of obvious reason. But I was very curious, so I reached out to my seniors and asked them if I can work on fixed assets, and they obliged me with the work, and I had to really prove my worth. But on the same engagement, we had to implement IFRIC 15, that is accounting for construction of real estate, and that really required an interdependence between me, who was doing fixed assets, and my senior, who was doing grants. And the truth being told, it was really this collaboration that brought such beautiful results that's rather an understatement, I would say. And the second thing is, I would say, gratitude. So when I say that it's unconditional, I personally believe that you know everything happens for a reason, and all the tough times are meant to make us stronger. So yeah, just to summarize the unconventional thing, I can only say that it's rare and good to be extraordinary, but it's rather better to be extraordinarily good. And it's the goodness in those little things that truly bring us as who we are as individuals. So yeah, thanks.
Thanks. Like what you said, we need to see why we do something rather than how we do it. So that's really nice. Thank you. So my next question is from Safa. She's also somebody involved in extracurriculars. So I'm pretty sure this would have happened in the lives of CA students everywhere. Like, tell me about a time where you were faced with a choice between two things. They could be like some professional engagements or a professional and personal, depending on what it is. So how did you, first of all, what did you choose? Did you choose, if at all, did you choose both? And then what was the result? What did you learn?
Thanks, Rida. This situation actually happens with all of us during the firm life, and we have to go to events like birthday parties, weddings, and family gatherings. But we also have like a lot of work to do, and I know that's the worst time and the worst choice to make. So this has happened with me as well, like a lot of times. But I'm just gonna quote one example here. So my sister is a blogger, and I usually go with her to different events. So one day I had to go with her at night, and I had to leave the firm by 5:30 max so that I could go to my home and do all the preparation for the event. Simultaneously, my senior had given me like loads of work to do, which I had to complete by day end. And here I had to make a choice. But then I just thought, why should I make a choice? Matlab, why don't I do both the stuff? That is, I complete my work and then I go to the event as well. So first of all, I just skimmed through all the work that was given to me, and I went to my senior. I discussed with him that, okay, tell me what are the things which you require on priority basis, which cannot be delayed even till first half tomorrow. So he made me understand, okay, these are the important things which I need on urgent basis. So I agreed with him. I completed those tasks immediately, and I was able to go to my event, and the event turned out to be fabulous. I enjoyed a lot, and I also was able to complete the remaining work by the first half of the next day. So what I think is that we need to make a schedule in our life. We need to plan things ahead so that everything goes smoothly and we do not get to make different choices. Also at firm, what I think communication is the key. Building relationships, good communication with your teammates, whether it be your senior or your junior members, it can help you a lot, because whatever problem you have, you should just go up and you should just discuss that thing out. And believe me, there is always a solution to everything. You just need to dig it out.
Definitely. I think here the importance is on organization skills and being pre-planned, like being pre-planned with your day and knowing what to do ahead. That's very important, especially in a CA student's life. So my next question is about the pandemic and basically how did you deal with it? This question goes to Nimat. So tell me, when you were at home, what new skills did you pick up? How did you deal with the stress? Any new hobbies? Just, what was this period like for you?
Okay, so probably like a lot of people here, my family has been a victim of COVID-19. So I have lost my father recently due to COVID, and my entire family was affected, positively tested. So yeah, it has hit very hardly on us, on me, and we have started working in the meanwhile. So yeah, it was very, very difficult time, as many of you has already been through it. And the depression of the situation is immense. Even if you are not a victim of the situation, you still go through the depression because of the environment that it has created all over the world. So basically, you have to handle your depression. Do not try to depend on others to handle your own problems, your own depression. Try to heal yourself within yourself. Take initiative to perform things that will actually brings up the best in you. Like what I have done is something that I never did before, is feature for weightlifting. So I started weightlifting, strength training, something that will give me, because I was losing mental health a little bit. So I was trying to gain the physical health better, so that I can cope and balance both. So I started going to gym and started training. And in the meanwhile, I have started learning like guitar by seeing YouTube and all that. Different type of cooking that eventually stimulates my mind and also makes me happy. So try to do whatever that brings the best in you. Don't let the depression win in this type of situation, because you have to always, that something that has brought me up in this situation is, I have seen other people suffer more. There's someone always there who's suffering more than you. So don't think that you are the only sufferer here. So that is something, try to help others, try to donate, try to go for charities as much as possible, because everybody needs help. Don't just ask for it, just do it. And I hope everybody is going through betterment, and they can push themselves through the situations in a better way. I hope for the best for everyone.
I think what I can take out from that discussion is, don't depend on anyone. Just if you want to do something, you do it. So that's very nice. Now, in continuance of this, I want to ask Malshi, because she is a part of the students' society over there. Because I know you guys do a lot of events during the year, and due to the pandemic, I believe nothing was really possible. So, any initiatives that you took, how did you handle that? What were the different events? And just basically, how was this period for you?
Yes, I got it about that. During the pandemic, many events which were supposed to be held on the same week got cancelled and was postponed. And due to that, we had to keep silent for a moment. So, as we know, we cannot be silent for a longer period. We started on a new project called Grow Green, which was meant to be, we, yeah, we encouraged our students to plant and take a picture of that and to post it on the Facebook page of ours. And we were doing a project on that. And on the same time, we were also doing on articles, because we know that we have social magazine launching. So to launch that magazine, we were doing interviews. And one of the main skills that I learned that I had is to host an interview virtually. So I started on hosting interviews virtually with many interviewers to launch our official magazine. So and also as Nima said, I also did some cooking, and that is how my quarantine period I spent with all those CAP activities and with the interviews and also that for some self-care activities. That's thank you.
Thank you. I'm actually taking ideas from you. So go green and virtual interviews, and maybe these are some things we should also start. So thank you for that. Now, when I was talking to Malshi earlier, she mentioned that even though she's not in the big four or anything, she said because of all these activities, she was the reason that her firm got recognition in the CA Sri Lanka world. So here a question came into my mind that how do you think you can make an impact in your organization, however small it may be? So I want to ask this question from Sophia.
Well, Rida, every person we come in contact with us is impacted in some ways or the other. The only difference is we feel satisfaction if they acknowledge us. We don't realize, but we are influencing or impacting people and the environment in so many ways, like even with our breathing sometimes, like exhaling sharply. And I think our attitude, how we treat others and how we act when we think no one is watching us play the role of impact no matter where we are. And I make sure I look friendly and approachable, and I am a good listener. And if anyone around my circle wants to just share their experiences or anything, I'm open. And I personally think smile is contagious and can impact in a way nothing can. So smile is a curve that sets everything straight. And of course, we generally smile back at whoever smile at us. So we can greet whoever we meet with a smile rather than sharing an awkward look and walk away. So we feel safe when we see a smile. So I'm with the slogan like, let's spread the smile and not the virus. Thank you.
Okay, that is such a positive answer. And also really a little smile can go a long way in making an impact.
Smile is a thank you. Smile is a welcome.
Yes. No, now my question now goes to the only guy in the whole panel, Mr. Nitin. So tell me an example of how extracurricular activities helped you in your work or studies, because I see people really, ignoring that factor in their lives, especially when they join CA or especially during their articleships. So tell me how you think it can actually help.
So since a lot of it has been covered with the extracurricular with the articleship, I would like to take a personal example of how extracurriculars specifically helped me in my studies. So there is a subject in the intermediate, CA intermediate, that is strategic management, which aims to give an overview of business management and operations. And I was working with an organization in the social entrepreneurship sector during the same time I was preparing for my intern. So I would first give a brief of social entrepreneurship because it's a little different from social service. Social entrepreneurship is essentially where you identify a problem, let's say an environmental or social problem, you build a product or a model around it, you loop in a lot of stakeholders, let's say user groups, vendors, customers, and everybody, and then you work on that identified solution. So in a very similar manner, I was working on a project that aimed to act as a market linkage program between the culinary food that the rural Indian women were making and the urban untapped potential market. So essentially what happened is that when I learned all these concepts of business in a practical world, when I went back to my books, I didn't have to follow the conventional path of rote learning or mnemonics that generally all of us apply when we're doing a theoretical subject, which was the case for strategic management as well. So I think extracurriculars is that, that one sort of binding thing that really links us. And when I say what I always carry in my mind is that the knowledge that I acquire is materially very limited. My ignorance and my weakness is unbound. And the truth is that unless I step out of the book that I'm reading, I would never know what I'm missing out on, let alone the experiences of living it in the first place. So yeah, and extracurricular also acts as a very good integration. So it's very nicely and aptly put that silos never work efficiently. They almost never work efficiently alone. So it's true in risk management, it's true in business operations, and it's also true in humans. So even as accountants, we need to really have an integrated approach to, let's say, a lot of other things. There's so much more that we can learn from, let's say, psychology, or let's say human relations, or technology, as we were discussing in the other panel as well. So just to give an example, we learned from psychology that there exists confirmatory bias, which can actually be seen in a lot of audit scandals these days. Or let's say the discussion on cryptocurrency or blockchain, how it can basically disrupt the entire currency or the way we report in the first place, right? So I think it's really the integration to know that there exists, because you become so limited and you become so delusional that in those delusions you become to be so objectified and stratified, and each of these extracurricular helps you expand your horizons, and this expansion is essentially what builds you, what makes you grow as well. So I think beyond studies, extracurricular not just adds to it, but it adds to your growth as well.
If you put yourself out there, the possibilities are endless. So thank you for that. So now my last question from Safa. The thing is, I was wondering, there are different working styles, different study styles, right? So sometimes you may fail just because you weren't studying or doing something in your own way, rather than you were just following some conventional way of doing it. So my question to you is, tell me an example of a subject you studied which was different from the usual way of doing it, and did you manage to pass it? How was it? What was the result?
Okay, so Rita, I think that a very big misconception among our CA students is that the examiner only wants rote learning, normally known as rectification among our students. And this is what actually makes the subject difficult as well as boring. And what I think that this is also the reason behind many failures. And frankly, I also used to think the same. But now I think that rote learning takes a lot of time and effort, and there's possibility that over a period of time you might forget the things that you have rote learned as compared to the things which you have actually understood. So in my first attempt of CPAP examinations, I took 3 subjects that are FFR, Law, and BM. And as we all know that we have a gap of 1.5 years before we are able to give our first attempt. So for the first few months, I did study BM. But then when I started off with the other 2 subjects, I didn't have any time to focus on BM. So after a long time, I opened my BM book just one day before my paper. And at that point of time, I had to decide, okay, what method of preparation should I adopt for my examination, which is just one day after. And I thought, okay, that time was very limited, and I couldn't just rote learn every other thing, every other topic. So I just decided to take the summaries, and I decided to work on my concepts to understand the different topics. And that's how I prepared. And then finally, the next day was the day of my examinations, and I just prayed to Allah, okay, just make me pass my exam. And I attempted my paper. One important thing that I had in myself was confidence. I was very much confident that I have my past experience. I had also studied this subject in my CAP level, in my CA intermediate, what we call, and I have also studied that in my A level. So I was very much confident in myself that I have the concept, so I will be able to do it, and the examiner doesn't know anything. I know everything. So I answered all the questions very easily, and Alhamdulillah, I got passed. And so what I learned from this experience of mine is that there are several different ways of doing one thing. For example, some people might rote learn the stuff. Some people might think that, okay, I just need to have a grip over the concepts. So you can just do your own style of learning, style of giving the paper. And also a very important thing is that confidence. When you believe in yourself that you can do it, then believe me, there is nothing that can stop you.
I think that is a very good message to end this panel discussion on. If you believe in yourself, there is nothing you can't achieve. Thank you, Safa, for that. And thank you, everybody, for being here. It is these exchanges that make us realize that even though we're from different countries or whatnot, the journey of a CA student isn't really that difficult, that different at all. And we're all connected in some way. So thank you for being here. I really hope we can host you here in Pakistan next time if the conditions get better. Thank you so much. Okay, so now bye. So this brings us to the end of the conference, and now for the closing remarks, I would like to invite the chairman of CASA North. Please welcome Mr. Farooq Hamid.
Right. Thank you, Nida. I hope you can hear me as well. Good
Yes.
evening and Assalamu alaikum, everyone. It was indeed a great discussion and very encouraging as well. And I would like to thank all of our distinguished speakers, eminent panelists, our student representatives for, from Canada, India, Bangladesh, Nepal, Sri Lanka, and Pakistan. It was really, really great and indeed an honor for us to have you on board. I'm sure the thoughts and experiences shared here, would help us, our students especially, in these challenging times. There's indeed a very challenging time for the entire humanity. This pandemic is working beyond borders, beyond race, beyond religion. So we also have to work together beyond these lines on the maps and, have to work beyond our divides to come out of this pandemic victorious. This entire conference is an evidence that there's an opportunity in diversity. We have today, participants from 5 different countries sitting together, sharing thoughts, discussing ideas. It's great. And in the panel discussion, in the panel discussion, it was emphasized that in this new normal, there is need to focus on new skill sets. And we've talked about different skill sets. And I guess the most important is this technology. The technology in these times have received a push that otherwise would have taken many years. Now we have to master the skill as well. We can't shy away from this change. We have to embrace this change. We need to be drivers, not the riders. So that's very important. There were another very important thing discussed in that panel, and that was with regard to change of basis of measurement of performance from the traditional time spent to performance-based. So, and in that, I guess the key is the trust. And that trust is, as very rightly pointed out at the very beginning of this conference by the President ICAP, that our code of ethics provide us, a trust basis for that trust. So that again is very rightly said, and it is much needed right now as we move in this and work in this pandemic situation. We had very good speakers. Nidhi talked about importance of networking and gave very insightful into different tools that you as students can use to build your profile, so that when you move into migrate from being a student to a CA professional, you have a profile there for yourself. Shiri motivated us, and I guess the most important point was that we need to fine-tune our mindset. She talked about Zabt and Khapt and Zabt, and there was another thing that I'm forgetting. But again, Zahid gave a very important message of never give up in your life. As you know, this conference is themed as Rising from the Ashes. So that's the key again. And I guess the most important and the best part of this entire conference was the positive attitude shown by the students. It was very encouraging that our profession is in the hands, the future of our profession is in the hands of people who are very positive. It's really encouraging. Really glad that to hear all of you guys. When we were planning this conference, I thought that, span of virtual conference should not exceed 1 hour. But that was the apprehension. But I've enjoyed this. I've sat through the entire conference and I've enjoyed all the speakers, all the discussions. It was great. And in the end, again, I would like to thank all our guest speakers, panelists, all the participants, and a very special thanks to the organizing committee of CA Student Association and the staff of Institute of Chartered Accountants Pakistan for putting up this great conference. And a very special thanks to the Institutes of Chartered Accountants of India, Nepal, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka. Rida, I'm hoping that I'm not missing anyone. Great. I guess that's about it from my side. It's been very well managed. We are on time, I guess. And at the end, thank you, everyone. And with the prayers for a splendid future for all of us. Take care. And it's goodbye from my side and back to you, Rida.
much. So I guess that's it for now. If you guys want to watch this later on, it will be there on Facebook Live as well. And if you want the link, you can always text me. I'll send it to you. Thank you so much. Bye.
Right. Thank you, everyone.